It's over. How did we, a group of newcomers, end up in this eerie hospital? This is a place where even experienced players might not survive. I haven't lived enough yet. I don't want to be eaten by those creepy things. Wah! I want to go home. I don't want to play this scary game anymore. Under the blood-red twilight, in front of a hospital filled with a chilling wind, stood 15 figures. Among them were both men and women, ranging in age from 18 to 40. At this moment, most of their faces showed either fear or despair. Standing beside these people, Bai Yu, dressed in black, remained silent. Today, barely 18 years old, he was chosen by the horror game. 3 years ago, he had fallen into a well through a washed-out manhole cover and was transported through a portal inside the well to this parallel world. In this world, the horror game had descended 20 years ago, changing many of the world's rules. Anyone over the age of 18 would be selected by the horror game. Bai Yu knew very well that those selected for the horror game had to complete the tasks in the game to survive and exit. If something went wrong, they would be left forever in this place. And these accidents were, of course, the terrifying and eerie things scattered throughout the horror game. Even players who made thorough preparations had to be cautious when facing these strange things. Otherwise, they would end up just like ordinary players, killed by the eerie entities. Listening to the wailing around him, Bai Yu couldn't help but feel helpless. He hadn't expected that his first entry into the horror game would lead him straight to the eerie hospital. No matter what kind of eerie hospital it was, the death rate for newcomers was always high. In the past, the Eerie Hospital had even set a terrifying death rate by wiping out 5 consecutive batches of horror game players. This was why the newcomers around him were wailing in pain. But Bai Yu also noticed that 2 players appeared particularly calm. No need to guess, they were veteran players of the horror game. However, Bai Yu had no intention of cooperating with them. He had heard many stories about veteran players using new players as cannon fodder, throwing them in front. He certainly didn't want to be cannon fodder. "Are you all newcomers?" one of the veteran players asked. Upon hearing his words, many of the people present nodded. "Yeah, I'm a newcomer." Another one, who Bai Yu had identified as a veteran player, was also hiding his identity. "Ah, me too. I really don't know how to survive." Bai Yu didn't respond, but no one thought he was a veteran player. After all, he was too young. He looked too fresh, and apart from his perfect looks, he had no other notable features. It was obvious that he had just turned 18 and was a newcomer, entering the horror game for the first time. At that moment, the large hospital doors ahead slowly opened. A voice, indistinguishable in gender, echoed in everyone's mind. The horror game begins. Dungeon name, 4-Out Hospital. Number of players this round, 15. Dungeon level, level 2. Dungeon task, enter the 4-Out Hospital, obtain a position inside the hospital, survive for 5 days, and you will complete the game task and exit the game. Reminder, it's best not to leave the hospital's range, or else the consequences are yours to bear. We wish all players a pleasant game experience. Level 2 dungeon, it's not too high. Many new players breathed a sigh of relief. Horror dungeon levels range from 1 to 10. Lower level dungeons are less dangerous. It's easier to survive. They had thought that entering the Eerie Hospital dungeon would leave no hope for survival. But it turned out to be only a level 2 dungeon. The level 2 dungeons were still dangerous, as long as they were careful, they had a good chance of surviving. At this moment, the hospital doors were fully opened. Behind them, the somewhat bright hospital corridor was revealed to everyone. But no one was willing to step forward. 2 veteran players even took a step back. Protect everyone in front of him. Seeing no one else moving, Bai Yu was the first to step forward. He knew very well that wasting time here would be useless, it was better to face the fear directly. With Bai Yu leading the way, the other players slowly followed behind. The 2 veteran players stayed in the middle of the crowd. Soon, Bai Yu stepped into the hospital entrance. He had expected the place to reek of blood, maybe even have bloodstains. But as Bai Yu walked in, he didn't smell any blood, and there were no bloodstains to speak of. The floor was so clean that it could even reflect light. Instead, he smelled the unique disinfectant scent of the hospital. And at that moment, a cold, emotionless mechanical female voice echoed in Bai Yu's ear. "You have awakened the super god-level talent, all skills talent. Whether it's a regular skill, an eerie skill, or a class skill, as long as you have enough skill points, you can unlock it. The all skills talent is unique. You have received 50 skill points, which can be used to unlock skills. Talent? A super god-level talent, no less." Bai Yu raised his eyebrows, pausing for a moment, surprised in his heart. When players enter the horror game, there is a very small chance they awaken a talent. For example, spitting fire, spraying water, enhancing speed, doubling strength, disguising themselves as eerie creatures, or releasing smells that disgust eerie beings. But the number of players who awaken talents is rare. Out of 1,000 people, there might not even be one. And someone like Bai Yu, who awakens a super god-level talent, has never been heard of before. The highest talent he had heard of was the god-level talent. But every player with a god-level talent is a top-tier powerhouse in a region. They are the kind of people that the country must focus on nurturing. With a thought, countless skills that could be unlocked appeared in front of Bai Yu. Fire breathing, night vision, Eerie cook, Eerie doctor. A wide variety of skills, ranging from basic to bizarre. Unfortunately, Bai Yu only had 50 skill points, so he could only unlock skills that consumed fewer points. Therefore, he wasn't in a hurry to unlock anything, he chose to observe carefully first and then decide which skills to unlock. The Eerie Hospital dungeon has a high death rate, and this all skills talent is the key for Bai Yu to break the deadlock. He must not make any mistakes. Closing the skill panel, Bai Yu came back to his senses. He looked around the hospital's spacious and bright lobby. Since the hospital hadn't opened yet, the lobby appeared very empty. There were no terrifying sick creatures to be seen. The players behind him had also arrived in the hospital lobby at this moment. The spacious and bright lobby made them relax their guard a little. But just then, with a loud bang, the huge sound of a door slamming shut startled many players. They all quickly looked around in a panic. Just as many of them were growing nervous. A figure stepped out from the hospital corridor. A human? He not bad. Hearing the voice, Bai Yu quickly turned his gaze. He immediately saw a young girl dressed in a pink nurse outfit, her legs in thick white stockings, looking somewhat delicate, walking toward him. The girl had a delicate and cute face, pink hair naturally falling to her shoulders, and on her head were a pair of pink cat ears with a bit of fur. Although she was small in height, she had developed quite well, her body full of curves. Her size seemed like it could stretch the pink nurse uniform to its limit. She was completely a cute cat-eared girl. But the players here didn't find her cute. This was a terrifying eerie being. One slap could easily knock their heads off and kick them like a ball. Bai Yu watched as the cat-eared girl walked up to him, smiling at him. She stared at him for a few seconds, and then Bai Yu heard her speak again in a soft voice. "Human, come with me, my clinic needs a doctor like you, your flesh, oh no, your medical skills must be very good." After the cat-eared girl finished speaking, she gave a very cute smile. Her lips curved up into a delightful arc. Her sharp fangs in her mouth were fully exposed to the air. Chapter 2, Activate the Skill, The Strange Doctor. The cat-eared girl smiled, though her eyes were filled with excitement and cruelty, full of killing intent. It was as if she had seen some delicious food. Seeing this, the surrounding players quickly distanced themselves from Bai Yu, throwing him sympathetic looks. This is not something that needs a doctor. They probably want to use Bai Yu for some kind of food therapy. The strange ones do eat people. In their view, Bai Yu is definitely going to be eaten. After all, Bai Yu is the youngest and most handsome one here. Many good-looking players, before entering the horror game, were thinking of using their looks to live off the female strange ones. But in reality, being handsome and young only makes you easier to die. After all, the strange ones love to eat people like that. Looking at the white silk cat girl before him, Bai Yu felt extremely helpless. With so many people here, why did this cat-eared strange one target him? Could it really be because he's handsome? But Bai Yu did not resist at all, he simply nodded. I understand. Bai Yu knew very well that if he showed any resistance, he would die right now. Only by obeying this cat girl strange one could he find a chance to survive. Staring at Bai Yu's face, Emoshi smiled, then reminded him. That's right, come with me. Saying this, she turned around and walked towards the hospital corridor she had come from. Seeing Emoshi's impatient look, Bai Yu followed her. Although he knew the white silk cat girl intended to do something bad to him, Bai Yu was not anxious at all. After all, he had awakened the full skill talent, and as long as he used it well, his survival rate was still very high. Moreover, panicking in this situation wouldn't help and would only get him killed faster. Seeing Bai Yu leave, the fear in the surrounding players grew stronger. The game has just started, and someone has already died. Woo-woo. I don't want to play anymore. Woo-woo, I don't want to play either. Some new players were on the brink of collapse, even crying. The old players said nothing but just gently shook their heads. Emoshi's pace wasn't slow. Bai Yu followed her through the spacious hospital lobby and into a somewhat narrow, bright corridor. Finally, Emoshi brought him to a door in the corridor. Bai Yu saw that next to the door, the words "consulting room" were posted. Emoshi opened the consulting room door and smiled, saying, "Doctor, please. This is my consulting room, hee." Although she called him a doctor, Bai Yu could tell from her expression, her eyes, and her demeanor, she saw him as delicious food. Entering the consulting room, Bai Yu made a decision. Let's activate the strange doctor profession skill. Since she treats me as a doctor, then I'll be a real doctor for once. Bai Yu was sure that if he didn't do something now, he would be eaten by this little cat girl. Given the current situation, the chances of breaking the deadlock with the strange doctor skill were higher. After all, this was a hospital, and doctors were very much needed. Bai Yu speculated that if he had the true abilities of a strange doctor, his chances of survival would be much higher. So Bai Yu focused his mind. You have consumed 50 skill points to activate the strange doctor profession skill. Profession skill level, beginner. The skill has been automatically equipped. Strange doctor profession skill, observation, smell, asking, feeling, proficient in medicine, strange doctor knowledge, strange pathology knowledge, strange doctor courage. You have obtained the passive profession ability, Doctor's Aura. You possess the authority of a doctor, which puts pressure on strange ones. What you say is more persuasive. Tip: using skills to solve problems will improve skill proficiency and level up the profession skill. With the mechanical woman's voice echoing in his ears, Bai Yu looked at the information panel before him. A large amount of strange doctor knowledge flooded into his mind. He could easily treat many strange pathologies, including some difficult and complicated diseases. And this was just the beginner level of the strange doctor. If I increase the level of this strange doctor, Bai Yu is sure that he will become even better. Click. Closing the door, as Emoshi raised her head, she happened to see Bai Yu standing in front of the consultation desk. This made Emoshi's eyes light up. Bai Yu's height isn't very tall, close to 1.8 meters, and the black clothes made him appear somewhat thin. But because of his perfect appearance, Emoshi immediately took a liking to him. She wanted to take him back to the consultation room and have a feast. But now, Bai Yu's aura made her heart race, stirring up desires beyond mere appetite. Her plump white silk-covered legs unconsciously pressed together. Her red-flushed face made Emoshi look just like a little hungry cat in the spring season. But that's not all. Now facing Bai Yu, Emoshi suddenly felt a kind of fear as if facing a real doctor. It was as if everything about her had been seen through by Bai Yu. Emoshi's reaction made Bai Yu feel satisfied in his heart. It worked. Although he wasn't sure how effective it was. But since it could influence this cat girl, as long as he kept working hard, he didn't need to worry about being devoured by her. After a few seconds of silence, Bai Yu spoke to Emoshi. Miss, you didn't bring me here because you actually think of me as a doctor, right? Do you want to eat me? Hearing Bai Yu expose her inner thoughts, Emoshi instinctively felt a wave of nervousness. Under the influence of Bai Yu's doctor aura, Emoshi inexplicably felt a clear sense of fear. But soon, she snapped back to her senses. Bai Yu was just a small human, why was she nervous? Raising her gaze, she looked at Bai Yu and smiled again. Hee doctor, don't say it like that, my body is having some problems, and if I eat you, those problems will disappear. So calling you a doctor, it's no problem. You've cured my problem after all. After speaking, Emoshi licked her pink tongue over her lips, stepped forward with her legs clad in white stockings, and moved closer to Bai Yu. Hee doctor, don't resist, it will feel really good. And you're the first human I've eaten, don't worry, I won't eat you right away, but let you slowly treat me. Her soft words entered Bai Yu's ears, and he watched as the cat girl approached him. His expression remained calm and unshaken. Oh? Seems like I'm quite honored. Bai Yu raised his eyebrow teasingly and did not stop, continuing to speak. Miss, don't you feel unbearably hot every night, unable to sleep? And sometimes, don't you feel full of murderous intent, wanting to destroy everything around you? Upon hearing Bai Yu say this, Emoshi's eyes widened, and she immediately stopped moving. You, how did you know? Could it be that you? Yes, just as you said, I am a doctor, I can see the problems with your body. Bai Yu's expression remained relaxed. In contrast, Emoshi's body trembled with nervousness. She had thought Bai Yu was bluffing. But now, Bai Yu had pinpointed her current problem. This proved that Bai Yu was a real strange doctor. Since reaching adulthood at 19, Emoshi had felt unbearably hot every night, suffering immensely. Sometimes, she was filled with the urge to destroy, wanting to tear apart everything around her. After telling the headmistress about her problems, the headmistress had given her a rough solution. That was to eat humans. Many strange beings had faced the same problem, but after eating humans, most of them had recovered. Only a small number had died suddenly. This method made Emoshi reluctant to choose. Because not only had she never seen blood, she hadn't even thought about eating humans. Moreover, there were risks involved, and she didn't want to die. But after months of torment, Emoshi made up her mind to try the method given by the headmistress to treat her body. Coincidentally, as she passed by the hospital lobby. At first glance, Bai Yu was the one she had her eyes on. She wanted to use Bai Yu's flesh and blood to cure herself. But unexpectedly, Bai Yu pointed out her problem. This proved Bai Yu definitely had a second solution, beyond eating a human. Because Bai Yu was the only one who accurately pinpointed the problem with her body. Other doctors couldn't figure out what was wrong with her. Thinking about this, Emoshi took 2 steps forward, her delicate body leaning close to Bai Yu, raising her head and asking expectantly. So, doctor, can my problem be solved? I feel so uncomfortable. Looking at the white silk cat girl who was almost sticking to him, and smelling the faint fragrance coming from her body, Bai Yu nodded gently. Of course. Treating your problem is not that difficult. Bai Yu was certain that if he had said there was no solution, Emoshi would have definitely done something right there. Upon hearing Bai Yu's answer, a smile instantly appeared on Emoshi's face, her eyes filled with excitement. So, doctor, how should my body be treated? At this moment, Emoshi had completely forgotten the reason she brought Bai Yu to this room. She just wanted Bai Yu to cure her. Otherwise, the unbearable, scorching feeling that made her want to destroy everything would be too difficult to endure. Without a sound, Bai Yu took half a step back, raising an eyebrow. It's not very complicated. You're mainly suffering because you've come of age, causing your true nature to flare up. I'll just prescribe a calming medicine for you. After saying that, Bai Yu walked to the desk in the consulting room, picked up a pen and paper, and began to write. His actions made him look no different from a real doctor. After a few seconds, Bai Yu picked up the prescription and handed it to Emoshi. Done, Miss Weird, here's your prescription. Go get the medicine yourself. Emoshi trembled as she took the prescription. Looking at it, her excitement was evident, and her smile couldn't be stopped. Finally, she put away the prescription, lifted her gaze, and made eye contact with Bai Yu. After staring for a few seconds, Emoshi solemnly apologized to the human doctor who was treating her. Doctor, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have wanted to eat you earlier. With that, Emoshi bowed 90 degrees and made a deep bow to Bai Yu. It was at this moment that Bai Yu heard a mechanical female voice in his ear. You've correctly diagnosed and written a treatment prescription, skill points +5, weird doctor proficiency +20, admiration from Emoshi +100. Oh? This weird lady's name is Emoshi? Bai Yu secretly noted down Emoshi's name, closed the information panel, and then reminded her. No need to apologize, it was just a misunderstanding. As he spoke, he reached out to help Emoshi up. With Bai Yu's help, Emoshi's face turned even redder. She felt ashamed of her earlier thought of wanting to do something to Bai Yu. Moreover, being held by Bai Yu, this was her first time having physical contact with the opposite sex. She never expected it would be with this handsome human doctor. Just as Emoshi was feeling embarrassed, Bai Yu's voice sounded. Miss, I should be a qualified doctor now, right? Hearing Bai Yu's question, Emoshi nodded and happily replied. Doctor, you're not just qualified, you're amazing. You're the first doctor to notice my body problem and offer a solution. Emoshi's tone was excited, her pink eyes wide open, her delicate face flushed, making her look incredibly cute. After hearing Emoshi's response, Bai Yu took the opportunity to express his thoughts. In that case, I'd like to ask if I could work at this hospital? I want to be a doctor at this hospital. In Bai Yu's view, if he could become a doctor at this strange hospital, he would not only improve his professional skills but also earn skill points. The most important thing was that it would be easier for him to survive and clear this horror game. It was a perfect opportunity for multiple benefits. Faced with Bai Yu's request, Emoshi was stunned, but then she nodded vigorously. Of course. Doctor, you're so amazing. Our hospital needs a doctor like you. Emoshi was extremely excited at this moment. The handsome, perfect young man she casually picked turned out to be a highly skilled and mysterious doctor. She believed that when she told her sister, the director, about this, her sister would definitely be happy. Emoshi looked at Bai Yu, her eyes filled with a hint of confusion and possessiveness. Her lips even leaked a trace of fragrant saliva because of it. Her pink tongue licked her lips again, and Emoshi eagerly continued to speak. By the way, doctor, I still don't know your name. As she spoke, the blush on her face spread to the back of her ears. Even her snow-white neck was dyed red. At this moment, Emoshi only felt her body heat up, and her fleshy thighs wrapped in white tights unconsciously tightened. Facing Emoshi's question, Bai Yu didn't hesitate and directly nodded in response. My name is Bai Yu. Dr. Bai Yu. Emoshi was extremely excited. My name is Emoshi. From now on, you can just call me by my name. Starting today, this clinic I'm in charge of is yours. Emoshi said as she put the prescription into her pocket and showed Bai Yu a cute smile. Hee Dr. Bai Yu, please wait here for a moment, I'll go get your hospital ID and uniform. Once you have your ID, you'll officially be a doctor at our hospital. Don't worry, I'll explain everything to my sister, to the director. You don't need to worry. After saying that, Emoshi eagerly stepped forward, her plump legs wrapped in thick white tights, and quickly left the clinic. It wasn't until the white silk cat girl completely left that Bai Yu finally relaxed slightly in his heart. He had, for the time being, passed this trial and survived. He didn't know how the other terrifying game players were doing right now. But Bai Yu didn't pay much attention to the other players, nor did he think about helping them or cooperating with them. He wasn't some great altruist, and the other players weren't related to him. Moreover, right now, Bai Yu himself was struggling to survive. Bai Yu was very clear that stabilizing Moshi, this cat girl, wasn't enough. He had become a hospital doctor, but he was supposed to treat those strange, sick people. If he couldn't treat them, his life would come to an end. What awaited him next was the real difficulty. Chapter 4, The Mysterious Doctor Begins His Practice. Reference image of Catgirl. In the hospital lobby. All the players who had been here were assigned tasks. Most of them were assigned to do cleaning work as temporary workers. Now, there were still 2 new players in the hospital lobby, holding cloths and wiping the floor. It was at this moment that they finally understood why the hospital lobby's floor was so clean. At the pharmacy counter, Emoshi was standing here, getting the medicine according to the prescription Bai Yu gave. At this moment, a white lab coat hung from her right forearm, and she held the doctor's ID badge in her hand. The strange person responsible for managing the medicine saw Emoshi and didn't dare be careless. Quickly, they prepared her medicine according to the prescription. After receiving the medicine, Emoshi immediately took it. After taking the medicine, she clearly felt much better. Her destructive urge also temporarily disappeared. This proved that Bai Yu's medicine was effective. Dr. Bai Yu is amazing. Now, Emoshi was completely sure that Bai Yu was a highly skilled and mysterious doctor. Although he was human. But so what? Dr. Bai Yu was so amazing, it didn't matter that he was human. Excited, Emoshi quickened her pace and headed towards Bai Yu's clinic. As she passed the hallway, she happened to meet a figure coming out from a nearby pharmacy. The person wore a tight white shirt on top, black pants, and black tights underneath. She wore black high-heeled shoes with red soles and had long black hair reaching her waist, looking very tall and well-developed. If not for her pale face, she would have looked like a cold, high-class human woman with long black straight hair. She was the director of the 4th Road Hospital, Cheng Lin. Cheng's sister. She greeted her. Upon hearing the voice, Cheng Lin turned her head and looked at Emoshi. When she saw Emoshi holding a white coat and a doctor's ID card, she couldn't help but ask in confusion. Emoshi, what is this? Hearing the question, Emoshi smiled and replied. Cheng's sister, just now I brought a human. He is amazing and cured my illness. He's a powerful doctor. So I took the liberty of letting him work as a doctor in my consultation room. After hearing Emoshi's explanation, Cheng Lin's expression was surprised. He cured your illness? In that case, let him try being a doctor for now. The salary will be set at 100 ghost coins. Emoshi, you will be his assistant and see if he is truly a doctor who can cure the supernatural. Cheng's sister, I will. After replying, Emoshi turned and headed towards the consultation room where Bai Yu was. Inside the consultation room, Bai Yu sat in front of the doctor's desk. I have to say, this consultation room is really clean. Moreover, the medical equipment is complete, and the herbs in the nearby cabinet are all in place. But from this, it can be seen that this consultation room is not usually used for treating the supernatural. It was specially set up for Emoshi, a person with hospital connections, to kill time. Otherwise, the medical equipment would not be so new, and the herbs would not look like they were brand new. But now, Bai Yu's presence has made this consultation room a real one. Just as Bai Yu was thinking, the door was pushed open. Bang! Emoshi, the white silk cat girl, walked in. At this moment, she was holding a white coat and a doctor's ID card. Dr. Bai Yu, here's your uniform and ID card. Sister, the director said, from today on, you are a doctor in the hospital, and your daily salary is 300 ghost coins. The director asked me to be your assistant. I'll learn with you. Walking to the desk, Emoshi placed the white coat and the doctor's ID card down. Her delicate and youthful face was full of smiles. Director Ching only gave Bai Yu 100 ghost coins per day because she didn't know how amazing Bai Yu was. But I know Bai Yu's abilities, so I'll give him an extra 200. Anyway, I don't lack ghost coins. Looking at Emoshi, Bai Yu was very surprised. 300 ghost coins a day, that's a lot. Bai Yu knew very well that ghost coins were the currency in a horror game, filled with eerie energy. Sometimes, ghost coins could even be used to bribe the supernatural for convenience or to buy one's life in dangerous situations. But ghost coins are very precious. Not to mention new players, even experienced players who had completed a few horror dungeons wouldn't have many ghost coins. A player like Bai Yu, entering a horror game for the first time, earning 300 ghost coins a day, is unprecedented. I understand. Nodding, Bai Yu stood up, reached for the white coat placed on the desk, and put it on. He also put on the doctor's ID card. Emoshi looked at Bai Yu, now wearing the white coat, and a distinct blush appeared on her face. Her pink eyes were wide open. The pink cat ears on her head even stood up, looking quite adorable. Dr. Bai Yu, this uniform, isn't it trying to seduce her? At this moment, she had completely lost any thoughts of devouring Bai Yu. No, wait, she still wanted to devour Bai Yu, but in a different way. Her mind had been completely filled by Bai Yu. After putting on the doctor's uniform, Bai Yu turned his gaze and looked at the stunned Emoshi, giving her a gentle smile. Emoshi, this is my first time being a doctor. There will be many things ahead, so I'll have to trouble you, my little assistant. Bai Yu's voice snapped Emoshi back to reality. She swallowed nervously, then excitedly nodded. Dr. Bai Yu, don't worry, I'll do a great job as your assistant. Looking at Bai Yu's gentle and handsome smile, Emoshi's heart raced fast, her full, soft white silk legs tightly pressed together. After receiving Emoshi's response, Bai Yu sat back down at the consultation desk, waiting for the hospital to open. According to the time, in just another 1 or 2 minutes, the hospital would open, and the strange sick patients would arrive. Seeing Bai Yu sit down, Emoshi also calmed down, moved a small stool, and quietly sat beside Bai Yu, with a smile on her face. She was very excited. After being in this strange hospital for so long, it was finally time to get to work. Just as Bai Yu had expected. 2 minutes later, a very hoarse voice came from outside the door. Finally, another consultation room opened. I had to wait half a day in line before, and when it was my turn, the hospital closed. It almost drove me crazy. After the voice, the door to the consultation room was pushed open. Bai Yu saw a strange creature with half its face gone, flesh and blood blurred, and a body so thin it looked like a stick insect, walking in from outside. A rusty fruit knife was stuck through its throat. At the edges of the wound, 2 clumps of blackened blood scabs had formed. No wonder its voice sounded so hoarse and unpleasant, it had a knife stuck in its throat. Although this strange creature looked terrifying, Bai Yu remained completely calm. As a doctor for strange creatures, Bai Yu was never afraid, no matter how horrifying the creature was. If it were any other player, they would have been so frightened they would have collapsed. A human doctor? The thin, strange creature that entered the room was visibly surprised upon seeing that a human doctor was sitting at the consultation desk. But soon, a look of doubt and disdain appeared. In the eyes of strange creatures who valued strength above all, humans were the lowest beings. Because humans were so weak, they could be easily torn apart. Looking at Bai Yu, the thin, strange creature couldn't help but speak. You, a human, can really heal me? I could tear you apart with a wave of my hand. His words instantly angered Emoshi. If you're not here for treatment, get out. Stop wasting time. After saying that, Emoshi's pink cat ears on her head stood up, and her pink eyes were filled with murderous intent. She wouldn't allow anyone to speak ill of such an amazing doctor like Bai Yu. Hearing Emoshi shout, the thin, strange creature was terrified and immediately forced a smile. Ha ha. Sorry, I was too blunt, I didn't mean any harm. Emoshi's level was higher than his, and she could easily kill him, so he naturally dared not say anything more. Looking at Bai Yu, the thin, strange creature carefully spoke. Doctor, can you help me take out this knife? It makes my voice unclear. Of course. Bai Yu casually glanced at it, put on gloves, and walked up to the thin, strange creature. He stretched out his right hand and pulled the knife with a strong tug. With a magnetic sound, the blood clots and rotten flesh fell off. With the help of his professional skills as a strange creature doctor, Bai Yu did not hurt the strange creature at all and easily pulled out the rusty fruit knife. Cough. My voice sounds normal now. Ha ha ha. Doctor, you're amazing. I've been to many hospitals, and none of them dared to help me remove it. I never expected you to cure me here. The thin, strange creature's voice sounded much better. Although it was still a bit hoarse, it was a huge improvement compared to before. Seeing the thin, strange creature was cured, Emoshi, as Bai Yu's assistant, immediately spoke. 200 coins, pay up quickly. Okay. Hearing Emoshi's reminder, the thin, strange creature quickly took out 200 strange coins and placed them on the consultation desk. Doctor, you're so skilled. I have a few friends with serious issues too. I'll send them to you later, ha. After saying that, the strange creature left the consultation room with a smile, looking in a very good mood. Looking at the strange coins on the desk, Bai Yu now knew what strange coins looked like. Previously, he had only seen images of it on the country's official website. The Eerie coin still carried a strange aura, impossible to counterfeit. After Emoshi helped put the Eerie coin away into the drawer, she turned her gaze, her eyes sparkling with affection, looking at Bai Yu. Bai Yu, so effortlessly solving problems in such a handsome manner, she really liked it. And just as Bai Yu sat back down at the consultation desk, a mechanical female voice suddenly echoed in his mind. You have completed a treatment, skill points +5, Eerie doctor proficiency +30, admiration from Emoshi +150. As soon as he heard the prompt, the door to the consultation room opened again. Doctor, I'm a bit confused, could you help me put my head back on? A strange doll-like figure holding its own head walked in from outside. It placed its head on the consultation desk, its eyes staring directly at Bai Yu, looking very frightening. It was a real case of the uncanny valley effect. But Bai Yu wasn't scared at all. He closed the information panel, stood up again, and calmly replied. Of course, I can. Bai Yu directly took the doll-like creature's head, and with precise force, pressed it onto its neck. Crack! A crisp sound echoed throughout the consultation room, and the doll-like creature's head was successfully attached. Ha ha! Doctor, you're amazing. You're the best head reattachment doctor I've ever seen. Next time, if my head falls off, I'll come find you. The doll-like creature spun its head 360 degrees, very satisfied. You have completed a surgical treatment, skill points plus 10, Eerie doctor proficiency plus 50, admiration from Emoshi plus 200. It seemed that the higher the difficulty of the treatment, the more skill points and proficiency one would gain. Bai Yu nodded slightly. He then looked at Emoshi, who was standing by the side. At this moment, Emoshi was frozen in place, her cat ears standing up, her pink eyes fixed on him. When Bai Yu looked at her, Emoshi snapped back to reality and spoke to the doll-like creature. 400. As she spoke, a visible blush appeared on Emoshi's face. Bai Yu's strength exceeded her expectations. Many doctors in the hospital had difficulty performing reattachment surgeries, but Bai Yu did it in just a few seconds. This made Emoshi admire Bai Yu more and more. Bai Yu was confident, serious, calm, and powerful. He was the best male she had ever seen. No one else could compare. He was the first male she had ever interacted with, truly outstanding. This made Emoshi unconsciously lean toward Bai Yu. The doll-like creature directly took out 500 Eerie coins and placed them on the consultation desk, grinning at Bai Yu. The extra 100 Eerie coins is a tip for you, doctor. Keep it. After paying, it turned and left the consultation room. Doctor, come help me, my head's filled with water, it feels awful. As the doll-like creature left, Bai Yu hadn't even sat down yet. A semi-transparent Eerie creature hurriedly floated into the consultation room from outside. Bai Yu clearly saw that its semi-transparent head was like a fish tank, filled with half a brain's worth of water. It's a small matter. Bai Yu walked to the place where medical equipment was stored, picked up a pump hose, and directly inserted it into the Eerie creature's head. With the pump activated, the water in the Eerie creature's head was quickly drained. The entire process took no more than 20 seconds, and under Bai Yu's expert skills, the Eerie creature didn't feel any discomfort. All done, be careful next time, don't get caught in the rain, or your head will fill with water again. After pulling out the hose, Bai Yu heard the mechanical female voice again. You have completed a surgical treatment, skill points plus 10, Eerie doctor proficiency plus 30, admiration from Emoshi plus 300. The Eerie creature nodded vigorously. Nimeshum, thank you for the reminder, doctor, I'll be more careful next time. After the Eerie creature spoke, Emoshi immediately reminded. The fee is 350. Just like the previous doll-like creature, this semi-transparent Eerie creature also paid an extra 50 Eerie coins as a tip for Bai Yu. In just a few minutes, Bai Yu had earned 150 Eerie coins. That was equivalent to half of what he usually earned daily at the Eerie hospital. Of course, Bai Yu didn't know that his real salary was only 100 Eerie coins a day. But even if he knew, Bai Yu wouldn't care. What's a salary? These tips from curing the Eerie things were the real earnings. Ha ha ha. It feels amazing to not have water in my brain anymore. After paying the Eerie coins, the half-transparent Eerie laughed and left the clinic. Moshi put all the Eerie coins from the consultation table into the drawer. Sister Qinglin said, for this clinic she managed, she could take half as commission. Even though she didn't lack Eerie coins, the speed of making them excited her greatly. All of this was thanks to Bai Yu. Moshi naturally wouldn't steal Bai Yu's share, she saved all of it for him. She even was already thinking about giving Bai Yu a raise after work. After all, without Bai Yu, she wouldn't just lose the chance to make Eerie coins, she wouldn't even have this clinic. Bai Yu had no idea what Moshi was thinking inside. He sat back in front of the consultation table, moved his thoughts, and opened his talent panel. Now he had a total of 35 skill points. In just a few minutes, he had almost earned back the cost. Bai Yu believed that before long, he could unlock new skills again. The four-way Eerie hospital was truly a paradise for an Eerie doctor like him. And Bai Yu was still only a beginner Eerie doctor, yet already had such amazing medical skills. If his proficiency rose and he leveled up as an Eerie doctor, then maybe he could become a walking Eerie hospital. Before he could finish reading his panel, the door of the clinic was pushed open again. An Eerie floated in from outside. Doctor, I had a little too much fun with friends yesterday, can you help sew my body back together? Other doctors said they couldn't do the surgery, so I had to come to you. Closing the panel, Bai Yu finally understood why being a doctor was so exhausting. These sick eerie things came one after another, giving him no time to rest. Looking up, Bai Yu saw it. A ragdoll eerie with only an upper body was dragging its lower half into the clinic. Even without being a doctor, anyone could see the problem was very serious. What surprised Bai Yu was that no other doctor in the hospital could cure him. Luckily, Bai Yu could. Of course I can. After speaking, Bai Yu stood up and asked Moshi, the catgirl assistant, to hand him the tools to stitch the ragdoll eerie's body on the spot. A few minutes later, Bai Yu cut off the thread end and successfully stitched the ragdoll eerie's body together. And he didn't leave a single trace. Wow! Doctor, you're amazing. The ragdoll eerie looked at his lower body with no stitch marks, face full of excitement. Before, whenever I got stitched, there were always all kinds of marks. Now, there's not a single one. Moshi watched the ragdoll eerie's excited face, and her admiration for Bai Yu grew even stronger inside. Her gaze toward Bai Yu was full of aggression. Stitching up a ragdoll eerie was something not even the chief doctor could do. But Dr. Bai Yu did it. Chapter 6, The White Silk Catgirl has fully embraced the assistant role. Even in her excitement, Moshi didn't forget her task. She turned her eyes to the ragdoll eerie and reminded him. 2,500 eerie coins. In truth, such a big surgery normally only cost 1,500 eerie coins. But Moshi, wanting Bai Yu's skill to match the reward, decided to raise the price on her own. After all, no other eerie doctor could perform such surgery, only the amazing Bai Yu could. You completed a surgery. Skill points plus 15, eerie doctor proficiency plus 200, admiration from Moshi plus 500. Bai Yu's face stayed calm. He was sure, at this pace, he would soon be able to level up his eerie doctor profession skills. The doll was strangely shocked to hear Moshi's voice, with a tone full of astonishment. 2005? So cheap. In the doll's strange view, with such perfect stitching technology, not to mention 2005, even 5,000 would seem cheap to him. Pulling out 3,000 strange coins, he burst out laughing. Ha ha. The extra 500 strange coins, consider it a tip for the doctor. After paying, the doll walked out of the clinic with a smile. Outside in the corridor, the strange beings who were waiting in line at other clinic doors were all stunned when they saw this scene. When the doll entered earlier, its body was split in two, but now, when it came out, it was fully stitched back together. And there wasn't a single trace left. It had only been a few minutes. Plus, there were 3 other strange beings ahead, who felt awful before entering the clinic, but now, they were all so happy they could hardly contain themselves. This made many of the waiting strange beings realize that the doctor in this clinic was truly skilled. So, they all headed toward the room where Bai Yu was seeing patients. Bai Yu just sat there, watching the clock in the clinic as time passed from day to night. For a full dozen hours, Bai Yu had been treating strange beings. After successfully treating the last strange being, the mechanical female voice without any emotion sounded in Bai Yu's ears. You treated a strange being, skill points plus 10, strange doctor proficiency plus 100, admiration from Moshi plus 300. Congratulations! Your strange doctor profession skill has leveled up. Current level, intermediate. Finally leveled up. Bai Yu raised an eyebrow as his mind filled with more knowledge about being a strange doctor. And Bai Yu also discovered that his strange doctor attribute panel had 2 new skills. Passive skill, truth, strange beings in front of you find it hard to hide their true thoughts. Professional skill, rare diseases, you can solve more strange and rare cases. The 2 additional skills were of great help to Bai Yu. Especially the truth passive, which could prevent 6 strange beings from coming in and lying about having a sick friend or accidentally sitting down. It saved Bai Yu a lot of time. Earlier, when Bai Yu treated the strange beings, if not for his exceptional medical skills, he wouldn't have been able to spot the problems those strange beings were hiding about their conditions. So tired. Finally off work. Beside Bai Yu, Moshi stretched lazily, then turned her head, looking at Bai Yu with a smile. Hee hee Bai Yu, the clinic is a bit dirty now, I'll have someone come in to clean it up. After saying that, Moshi stood up, showing off her full legs wrapped in white stockings, and walked out into the corridor outside the clinic. Hey! You two, come over and clean up. Her current demeanor was completely different from when she was sweet and cute facing Bai Yu. Now, Moshi looked fierce, very much fitting the terrifying appearance of a scary game monster in the minds of players. After yelling, Moshi came back to sit next to Bai Yu. She turned her gaze, staring dazedly at Bai Yu's perfect profile. After a few seconds, Bai Yu finally saw 2 temporary human workers with brooms, mops, and even cloths entering from outside the door. When they saw Bai Yu sitting comfortably at the consultation desk, both of them stared wide-eyed. Didn't he die? Why is he here? And looking so relaxed. Bai Yu's presence made these 2 new player characters feel an intense imbalance in their hearts. Why did they have to work hard outside cleaning, while also facing the terrifying strange beings? Meanwhile, Bai Yu was sitting safely in the clinic, and there was such a cute white sock cat-eared girl by his side. Is being handsome enough to be so special? Anger ignited in their eyes. Noticing the two temporary human workers' gaze, Bai Yu didn't pay too much attention. Though he wasn't a good person, he wasn't a bad one either, so he didn't let Emoshi act against them. Bai Yu knew that they were angry because they felt imbalanced inside, so there was no need to care. Not caring was the greatest form of contempt. But while Bai Yu didn't care, it didn't mean Emoshi didn't care. Emoshi immediately stood up and angrily yelled at the two. What are you looking at? Keep looking and I'll gouge your eyes out. Her words scared the two so much that they quickly turned away and began cleaning the clinic. They didn't want to go from temporary human workers to workers heading for death. But they didn't dare to resent Emoshi, instead, they resented Bai Yu. Soon, the clinic was cleaned. After one last angry look at Bai Yu, the two left the clinic. Humph. What kind of look was that? Emoshi spoke angrily, turning her head to look at Bai Yu. Dr. Bai Yu, do you want me to go teach them a lesson? In Emoshi's heart, Bai Yu held a huge place. She wouldn't allow anyone to have negative emotions towards Bai Yu or the strange things around him. Turning her gaze, she looked at Bai Yu's side, where the white silk cat girl stood. Bai Yu shook his head. No need to bother with them. Bai Yu didn't care about their thoughts. He had so many things to do right now, so why waste energy on people who would never cross paths with him? After hearing Bai Yu's answer, Emoshi's smile became even brighter, and she couldn't help but nod vigorously. Dr. Bai Yu, I'll listen to you. At this moment, Emoshi was extremely excited. Dr. Bai Yu was truly so kind. He didn't even get angry when those two looked at him with hostile eyes. If it were her, she wouldn't calm down until she broke those two's arms and legs. Such kindness, perfection, handsomeness, and superb medical skills, she really liked Dr. Bai Yu. But in reality, Bai Yu simply didn't care about them. They were just powerless and furious. At that moment, Emoshi clearly heard a growling sound coming from Bai Yu's body. She froze for a moment before breaking into a sweet smile. Hee hee, Dr. Bai Yu, are you hungry? Let me go get you some food, wait for me here. After speaking, Emoshi quickly left the clinic. Watching Emoshi leave, Bai Yu felt a bit embarrassed. What could he do? He had worked all day without eating anything. It was completely normal to be hungry now. What Bai Yu didn't expect was that Emoshi, such a powerful strange being, would actually be willing to help him get food. She had truly embraced her assistant role. With a gentle smile, Bai Yu turned his gaze back and his thoughts stirred. A semi-transparent information panel appeared in front of him. After a full day of treatment, Bai Yu saw that his skill points had now increased to a total of 350. This made Bai Yu very happy. He could unlock more skills now. And this was only the first day. He still had 4 more days in this instance. Skill points could still keep growing. Of course, Bai Yu also knew that the number of strange beings coming to the hospital would only decrease from here on out. After that, there definitely wouldn't be as many skill points in a single day. And he would need to treat more difficult illnesses to earn more skill points. If it were simple issues, there would only be a few skill points. Closing the information panel, Bai Yu took off his white coat and placed it on the chair back. Bai Yu decided to save up these skill points for now. He would unlock new skills only when they were truly needed. For now, the strange doctor profession alone was already enough in this hospital. Chapter 7, Want to Kiss You Until You Faint. Just as Bai Yu was thinking. In the cafeteria of the 4th hospital. Apart from the 2 people who had just cleaned Bai Yu's clinic, all the other temporary workers in the hospital, the horror game players, were here. Not only them, but some of the strange beings working in the hospital were also here, having dinner. The atmosphere in the cafeteria was very eerie, with the scent of blood lingering. At the meal counter in the cafeteria, 3 players were assigned to serve food. For them, this was pure torture. Because the cafeteria's food wasn't just normal food for humans to eat. There were also strange foods. For example, eyeball soup, stir-fried fingers. They looked terrifying, and their taste was extremely nauseating. Moreover, if someone made a mistake, they would become the dish they were preparing. Other players dining in the cafeteria were very cautious, afraid that any disturbance would trigger the weirdness around them and lead to death. The only thing that made the players feel relieved was that the first day was almost over, and they hadn't encountered any trouble. As long as they held on for 4 more days, they could leave this terrifying place. At that moment, a white-haired cat girl dressed in a pink nurse uniform, with her legs in pink stockings, looking very cute, entered the cafeteria. She went straight to the food counter, raised 2 fingers. 2 portions of dinner, human food. My doctor is hungry, serve the food quickly. This white-haired cat girl was naturally Emoshi. Looking at the cafeteria food, she had no appetite. In fact, although Emoshi was weird, she had never eaten any strange food. Even normal food, she ate very little. As a member of a large family of weirdness, she could absorb the strange energy every day to replenish her own energy. This was far better than food. Strange beings liked to eat humans because humans had abundant yang energy, and the yang energy could be transformed into strange energy. The taste was quite good, making strange beings addicted. That's why they attacked humans. However, Emoshi, who had never eaten humans, never eaten strange food, and had barely eaten normal food, was very rare. Upon hearing Emoshi's voice, the players present widened their eyes. Doctor. Could it be the young man who was taken away earlier? He actually survived. And it seemed like this strange being listened to him very well, even helping him get food. Thinking about this, some of the new players felt both envious and jealous. Why did they have to work so hard, always fearing that a mistake would get them killed by a strange being? Now, even eating a meal was full of worry, and the air was filled with the disgusting smell of blood and rot. After eating, they would still have to wash the plates. Still have to keep working. But that young man, he had such a cute white-haired cat girl helping him get food. Why was the gap between people so huge? That person. Is he really amazing just because he's handsome? She didn't know the thoughts of the other players. After helping Bai Yu get his dinner, she quickly left the hospital cafeteria. But as she walked through the hospital lobby, she saw a cold, elegant woman in a white shirt, black pants, and black stockings with high heels. It was the hospital director, Cheng Lin. Wow! Sister Cheng. Upon seeing Cheng Lin, she happily greeted her. Hearing the voice, Cheng Lin turned her gaze. When she saw she holding the packed cafeteria food, she couldn't help but question. Emoshi, what is this? She approached Cheng Lin with an excited tone. Hee Sister Cheng, this is dinner I got for Dr. Bai Yu. Sister Cheng, you don't know, Dr. Bai Yu is amazing. So, she told Cheng Lin about how Bai Yu effortlessly treated strange beings, curing even the most difficult problems. After hearing this, Cheng Lin's eyes widened slightly. No wonder there were so many good reviews about the hospital today. So it was him. Nodding slightly, Cheng Lin's lips curled into a charming smile. I see, Emoshi, you can take the dinner to Dr. Bai Yu now, don't let him go hungry. Emoshi excitedly nodded. MHM. Sister Cheng, I'll go now hee. After answering, Emoshi headed toward the consultation room where Bai Yu was. Watching Emoshi leave, Cheng Lin's sharp black and white eyes became deep. Then, she stretched her long legs and headed down another corridor of the lobby. Dr. Bai Yu, I'm back. You must be hungry, come and eat. The soft voice reached Bai Yu's ears as he snapped back to reality from his desk. Suddenly, he saw Moshi walk in from outside with a smile on her face. The pink cat ears on her head twitched, looking fluffy and very cute. After putting down the food, Moshi's face turned red, her delicate body heated up, and her heartbeat raced. She didn't know what was happening to her, she just really wanted to get close to Bai Yu. Bai Yu was so handsome, and also so powerful, he really attracted her a lot. Moshi, you eat too. After all, you haven't eaten all day either, and there's a lot of food here, I can't finish it all alone. Picking up the food, Bai Yu reminded her. He didn't notice anything strange about Moshi. He hadn't eaten all day and was starving, all he could see was the food in front of him. After hearing Bai Yu say this, Moshi's delicate body trembled slightly, then she nodded. Then Dr. Bai Yu, I'll eat with you too. As she spoke, Moshi walked over and sat down in the seat next to Bai Yu. But at that moment, she noticed Bai Yu had taken off his white coat, and it was casually hung on the back of his seat. Because they were sitting close, Moshi could clearly smell the faint scent of Bai Yu lingering on the coat. This is Bai Yu's scent. So fragrant, so nice to smell. She swallowed hard, and the temperature of her delicate body rose even higher. Inside her short boots, her toes wrapped in white stockings were tense and pressing against the floor. Her waist bent unconsciously, her body leaning closer to Bai Yu. This let her smell even more of Bai Yu's scent. She took a deep breath again, and in her pink eyes, a strong desire to possess appeared. Her pink tongue licked her lips, and only then did she reach out, pick up the lunchbox, and start eating while smelling Bai Yu's scent. She didn't eat any dishes. No, it should be said, right now Bai Yu himself was her dish. More than 10 minutes passed, and Bai Yu, now full, finally let out a breath. Phew, I'm alive again. Not eating for a whole day really felt awful. Now that his body was relaxed, Bai Yu suddenly felt a very strong heat coming from beside him. Along with it was a light fragrance that belonged to a young girl, entering his nose. What's going on? With doubt, Bai Yu turned his eyes to look at Moshi beside him. At that look, Bai Yu was suddenly shocked inside. What's wrong with this little cat girl, is she sick again? Bai Yu clearly saw that Moshi was now sitting on the seat, holding an empty lunchbox without a grain of rice left, her face red, and her pink eyes staring straight at him. That gaze was just like the one this morning when she looked at him like food. And more importantly, her body was very hot. Bai Yu could even feel the heat coming from her. This little cat girl might be having another episode? Bai Yu felt puzzled. No, that's not right. I clearly gave her medicine, so why is her body still having problems? With doubt, Bai Yu opened his mouth to ask. Moshi, your body feels a bit hot, are you feeling unwell somewhere? Bai Yu planned to check Moshi's condition, after all, she was his little assistant, showing some care wasn't a problem. But as soon as Bai Yu spoke, Moshi suddenly trembled like a startled kitten, her delicate body shook, and her pink cat ears instantly stood up. On her delicate face, there was a look of panic. And no. Dr. Bai Yu, my body is fine. Shaking her head, Moshi looked at Bai Yu, and instinctively continued to explain. Dr. Bai Yu, I just think you smell so good, I really want to press you against the wall and kiss you until you faint, then lick every part of your bod. Halfway through the sentence, Moshi suddenly sat up straight, her pink eyes wide open in shock as she stared at Bai Yu's handsome face. Bai Yu was stunned, and then a mechanical female voice sounded in his ear. Under the effect of your passive skill truth talk, your little assistant Moshi spoke her true thoughts. Let the blocked emotions pour out. You have completed a treatment for a mental illness, gaining skill points plus 30, bizarre doctor proficiency plus 280, admiration from Moshi plus 1000. Bai Yu. Moshi. Closing the information panel, looking at Moshi who seemed about to cry, Bai Yu fell silent. What is this situation? Just at that moment, a cough came from outside the door. Ahem. Hearing this sound, Bai Yu quickly turned his gaze. Then he clearly saw. A tall, cold woman with long black hair, wearing black stockings and high heels, stood outside the consultation room. And she was the hospital's director, Qing Lin. Chapter 8, Arrangement from the Cold Director, Special Class Doctor. Reference image of Qing Lin. Entering the consultation room, Qing Lin looked at the two figures ahead with a sense of helplessness in her heart. What a coincidence. Just as she came to find Bai Yu, she happened to overhear Moshi's words to Bai Yu. Moshi is a high-status young lady from a bizarre family. She actually spoke such words to a human doctor she had known for less than a day. Qing Lin raised her gaze to Bai Yu's perfect face. At this glance, she was slightly dazed. Well, she could somewhat understand why Moshi would say such things to Bai Yu. This Dr. Bai Yu is indeed quite good. However, as Moshi's good sister, even though they are not blood-related, she had promised Moshi's deceased parents to take good care of her. It was still necessary to remind her. Ahem, Moshi, it's better to talk about these things when we return to the room. It's a bit inappropriate to say these in the consultation room. Hearing Qing Lin's words, Moshi felt even more shy. She quickly put down the lunchbox, stood up, covered her flushed, delicate face with both hands, and stepped out with her full, creamy white legs, quickly running out of the consultation room. Not staying a moment longer. No wonder she is a cat ear girl, as agile as a little cat. In the blink of an eye, she left the consultation room. Bai Yu also felt a twinge of helplessness. This cute white-stocking cat girl actually had feelings for him. They had only been together for less than a day. Fortunately, Bai Yu quickly calmed down, turning his gaze back to the tall, cold woman in front of him. He had to admit, this black-haired, straight-haired woman was indeed beautiful, well-developed, and had a cold demeanor. Both her face and figure were very impressive. Except for her skin being a bit shockingly pale, she looked no different from a normal human woman. However, she had a sense of fatigue about her, as if she had been working for a long time, leaving her with a weary air. So it turns out bizarre beings also dislike working. Bai Yu could tell from the way this black-haired woman educated Moshi. Her position was higher than Moshi's. She was likely responsible for managing this hospital. As Bai Yu thought, Qing Lin looked at him and then stepped forward, looking down at him sitting in the chair. Dr. Bai Yu, let me introduce myself, my name is Qing Lin, I am the director of this hospital. Qing Lin directly stated her identity. Hearing this, Bai Yu quickly stood up. Hello, director. Bai Yu had mentally prepared himself and was not surprised by Qing Lin's identity. He knew well why this tall woman had come to find him. It was definitely because he had treated many bizarre beings today. He had successfully attracted her attention. No need to be so serious. Although Qing Lin's voice was cold and elegant, her tone became slightly softer as she continued. Dr. Bai Yu, I know about your matters. Your medical skills are impressive, and under your treatment, the hospital's medical pressure has greatly eased. Moreover, the reputation of our hospital has spread outside, many bizarre beings know there is a divine doctor here. So, as Qing Lin spoke, she took out an identity badge from her pants pocket, which bore the words Special Class Doctor, and placed it on the table. Therefore, Dr. Bai Yu, I want to hire you as a special doctor in our hospital, a position just second to mine in the hospital. Well, of course, in addition to the identity and status, you will also have a daily salary of 5,000 strange coins. The hospital won't take a cut from tips, you can keep them all. So, how about it, Dr. Bai Yu? What's your thought? Qinglin's eyes were full of expectation. She gazed at Bai Yu's fair and handsome face. Facing the high-cold president whose eyes were filled with expectation, Bai Yu gently nodded. Of course, I am also interested in collaborating with the president. Bai Yu knew very well that his strange doctor skills could only be used to level up in a strange hospital. He needed a place like this right now. And most importantly, having this special doctor position meant that he could walk confidently in the hospital. He wouldn't need to worry about any danger. After all, the strange things in the hospital are not silly, they wouldn't dare to attack someone whose status is just below the president. As for strange coins, Bai Yu didn't care about money, he had no interest in it. As he picked up the special doctor identity badge, a strange, genderless alert sounded in his ears. You have obtained the position in Silly Hospital. Position evaluation in progress. Congratulations, player. You have become the special doctor of Silly Hospital and gained 300 points. After the voice, Bai Yu saw that his attribute panel had gained an additional 300 points. It's actually points. Bai Yu felt joyful in his heart. Players who complete horror games or do something important in horror games earn points. Points can be used to buy everything. For example, nuclear bombs, hydrogen bombs, lifespan, good weather for a region, technological knowledge, life-saving tools in horror games. Of course, if it's in a game, you can only buy simple things like food, water, and clothes. Because the points can be exchanged for so many things, the country values them highly and will purchase points from players. 1 point equals $20,000. If Bai Yu sold all 300 points to the country, he would receive 6 million. That would be enough to turn him from a poor nobody into a millionaire. Many veteran players who have cleared horror game instances a dozen times may not even have that many points. Because on average, they only earn 10 to 20 points per instance. And now, on his first day, Bai Yu already has 300 points. Most importantly, he has obtained the true position of a strange doctor. In horror games, players who obtain a true position in the game instance are rare, with perhaps 1 in 1,000. Most players are just temporary workers arranged by the strange things in the horror games. Seeing Bai Yu agree, Qinglin let out a slight sigh of relief. Dr. Bai Yu, starting today, you are the special doctor of our hospital. In the future, if you encounter any issues, you can come to me for help. Don't worry, we strange ones keep our promises, we will never go back on our word. Qinglin felt quite excited in her heart. With Bai Yu, such a skilled strange doctor, her hospital would definitely flourish even more. In fact, Qinglin really wanted to sign a work contract with Bai Yu. But upon reflection, since Bai Yu is so skilled, he certainly wouldn't stay in her hospital forever. She could only settle for less and let Bai Yu work in her hospital for a few days. Of course, if Bai Yu wanted to actively sign a contract to become a long-term doctor in her hospital, she would certainly agree. President, I understand. Bai Yu smiled faintly. Looking at President Qinglin's exquisite mature face and her soft lips, Bai Yu inexplicably felt that the strangeness in the horror game didn't seem so terrifying. At least, not so terrifying in front of him. Instead, it actually looked quite beautiful. Seeing Bai Yu's response, Qinglin nodded. Suddenly, he pulled out several large amounts of strange coins from his pocket and handed them to Bai Yu. Dr. Bai Yu, here is 10,000 strange coins, counting for your salary today and tomorrow. Take it. As he took the strange coins, still carrying a faint scent of the elder sister, Bai Yu heard a voice in his ear. You have received 10,000 strange coins, all deposited into the horror game storage space. After the prompt sounded, the strange coins in Bai Yu's hands disappeared. Seeing this scene, Qinglin didn't care too much, instead, she reminded him calmly. By the way, Dr. Bai Yu, you don't have a place to stay right now, do you? Upon being asked, Bai Yu nodded. He indeed did not have a place to stay, she hadn't arranged anything for him. Seeing this, Qinglin first glanced out the window, which was already dark, and then softly reminded him. In that case, Dr. Bai Yu, come with me. I will arrange a dormitory for you, you will surely be satisfied. After finishing, Qinglin turned around and walked towards the exit of the clinic. Chapter 9, Truly Unaware of Danger. Watching the slender back of this long-haired elder sister, Bai Yu quickly caught up. Following Qinglin out of the clinic, they arrived at the hospital corridor. Listening to the sound of Qinglin's high heels, Bai Yu realized that this elder sister was quite unusual. Without her high heels, her height was not much different from his own. Walking behind her, he felt a bit like a kept boy living off a rich woman. Shaking his head, Bai Yu discarded these strange thoughts from his mind. He could not have any thoughts about the strange, not even a little. No matter how normal the strange may appear, at its essence, it is still very dangerous. How could one have thoughts about the strange? Just as Bai Yu followed Qinglin through the hospital. In the hospital's backyard, a 3-story residential building stood. Why did I say those things? Dr. Bai Yu must be scared of me and starting to hate me now. No. I don't want Dr. Bai Yu to hate me. On the second floor, inside a room filled with pink girly vibes. Dressed in a black nightgown, with white stockings on her legs, the cat-ear girl Mo she was lying on the bed. She hugged a cushion with both hands, her legs together, her heels slightly pink and her feet pointing upwards. Her soft little feet intertwined, her face flushed, and her eyes filled with embarrassment. Ah! So embarrassing. Burying her face into the soft cushion, the more Mo she thought about it, the more awkward she felt. Why did she say such things to Bai Yu? Bai Yu wouldn't be scared of her and end up hating her, right? That kind of thing, no. She didn't want to be hated by Bai Yu. Exhaling a deep sigh, Mo she made up her mind. Wait, she must go find Bai Yu to explain. She didn't mean to say those words. She was possessed. Following Dean Xinglin through the back door of the hospital, they arrived in the backyard. Bai Yu saw that the path ahead led to the residential area not far away. The residential area looked quite nice, it seemed to be the hospital's dormitory. Of course, besides that, Bai Yu also clearly saw that there were 7 human players lying on the path ahead. They held brushes in their hands, carefully cleaning the ground under the light of the lamp, not daring to lift their heads. Among them was an experienced player whose movements were much quicker than those of the new players. Beside him, a strange figure dressed in a security uniform with only half a face was scolding them. Clean it up better. If I find any dirt left behind, you will be in trouble. The security's strange words made Xinglin frown slightly, and she turned her gaze to Bai Yu. She was very worried that Bai Yu would develop a dislike for her hospital because of this, leading to not wanting to be a doctor at her hospital. After all, Bai Yu was human, seeing those players treated that way must be very uncomfortable for him. However, Xinglin did not see any discomfort on Bai Yu's face. But she did not dare to gamble on whether Bai Yu was angry. Withdrawing her gaze, Xinglin stepped in her black stockings and high heels. 2 steps forward, facing the security guard, a strange, cold voice emerged. What are you doing? Hearing the director's voice, the security guard bizarrely reacted, then immediately showed a flattering smile as he stepped in front of the director. Ha ha! Director, I was having them clean up, so... However, Xinglin directly interrupted his words. Clean up? Have you ever seen anyone sweeping the floor with a brush to clean? From now on, don't let me see you make things difficult for them, or you can resign yourself. Xinglin's words made those players who were cleaning raise their eyes. What is going on? Their work was all arranged by the director. This bizarre director didn't care about them at all. Some among them had been injured by the bazaar before, and they could only swallow their anger. But now, why was the director speaking up for them? One player thought this way, and then they saw Bai Yu standing next to the director. In an instant, the players present knew. It was his achievement. He actually didn't die, and it looked like he was doing quite well. One player reacted and cast either shocked or envious glances at Bai Yu. This terrifying bazaar director actually made a show of caring for humans because of him. The director's words made the bazaar security guard nod repeatedly. Ha ha. Director, I understand, I won't make things difficult for them anymore. As he spoke, this bazaar security guard glanced at Bai Yu beside the director. He started remembering Bai Yu's appearance, after all, he was a human that the director valued. Seeing the guard nod, Xinglin finally stepped forward with satisfaction, leading Bai Yu towards the residential area behind. After Xinglin and Bai Yu left, the bazaar security guard immediately looked at those human players still lying on the ground. Alright, you all get up, stop doing this. Hurry and go rest in the temporary worker dorm, don't cause any problems. After saying this, the bazaar guard quickly left. It seemed he was genuinely afraid of being fired. Once they stood up, some new players looked enviously at Bai Yu's back. I didn't expect that we were actually saved by him. Hey! I thought he would die, turns out he's doing way better than us. Of course, there were also new players who were unconvinced. Humph. Isn't he just a bit handsome? Eating off the bazaar's soft power, be careful of getting eaten as soft food. Heh, if I had his looks, I could also make the bazaar dance on my palm. Listening to the discussions of the new players, the old players put away their brushes and snorted coldly. Heh, just stop talking, isn't it good to meet such a big boss? Didn't you notice that today, many bazaar's attention has been drawn to his new clinic? If it weren't for him, some of you would have died long ago. Being protected by a big boss, and still daring to mock here, you really don't know how to live. After the old player finished speaking, he immediately turned and left, leaving a group of newcomers looking at each other in dismay. Entering the residential area, Xinglin took Bai Yu to a 3-story building. Stopping, she turned her gaze, her tone softening somewhat as she spoke. Bai Yu, about what happened just now, please don't take it to heart, I don't like torturing humans. Qinglin looked at Bai Yu. She was speaking the truth, although she was bizarre, she had no interest in torturing humans. Moreover, like Mashi, she hadn't tasted human flesh. When hungry, she simply absorbed the bizarre energy from the bizarre coins. From the past until now, she had only done one thing. That was work. Director, I don't care about those things. Bai Yu gently shook his head. For him, how those human players fared had nothing to do with him. He wasn't a saint and had no ties to them. At most, he could already help improve the survival rates of these players in some feasible ways. Other than that, he couldn't do anything. Seeing that Bai Yu didn't care, Qinglin's delicate, beautiful face. Finally, a faint smile appeared. Dr. Bai Yu, I understand. After saying this, Qinglin entered the 3-story building ahead. Seeing this, Bai Yu followed him in as well. The first floor was very empty, with nothing at all. Climbing the stairs, they arrived at the second floor. There were only 2 rooms here, and it was very clean. In front of one of the room doors, Qinglin reached out to push the door open and walked in. Dr. Bai Yu, this is where you will live in the future. Only you, Mushi, live on the second floor, and I live on the 3rd floor. If you have any issues, you can find me or Mushi. After speaking, Qinglin turned her head and looked at Bai Yu with anticipation. Dr. Bai Yu, how is it? Do you think this room is suitable? Entering this well-furnished, very bright, spacious, and clean room, Bai Yu nodded. It's very suitable. Thank you for the arrangement, Director. The room environment really was nice, even though it was a single room, it was enough for Bai Yu. After all, this is a horror game. Most players, let alone having a room like this, consider it lucky just to have a place to stay. The strangeness in horror games doesn't follow the Geneva Conventions. Naturally, they don't care about those temporary human workers. Chapter 10, Bai Yu. So gentle. Bai Yu's words made Qinglin narrow her eyes slightly, a satisfied look appeared on her face. As long as you think it's suitable. While speaking, although Qinglin's aura remained cold, there was a hint of charm released. This made her seem less aloof than at first. Smelling the rich fragrance emanating from this cool, elegant woman, Bai Yu swallowed hard. Noticing Bai Yu's reaction, Qinglin's lips also slightly curved into a charming smile. Alright, Dr. Bai Yu, I have some matters to attend to. You should rest well. Working hours start at 9 in the morning, even if you are late, it doesn't matter. I'll be going now. After Qinglin finished, she walked past Bai Yu in her black high heels and left the room. The richer fragrance lingered in the air. Bai Yu took a deep breath to calm himself down after the director left. Turning his gaze back to the clean and tidy room, Bai Yu felt very pleased. I guess I can be considered the luckiest player in this horror game. Closing the door, Bai Yu planned to take a shower first and then rest well. Outside the corridor, the sound of Qinglin's high heels echoed. At this moment, Qinglin was in a very good mood. Thinking back to how Bai Yu had been staring at her, his throat moving slightly, a hint of a charming smile appeared on her face. Bai Yu really seems to be excellent. Qinglin didn't know what was happening to her, she had never interacted with the opposite sex before. But now, she was very attracted to Bai Yu and wanted to interact with him. Even wanted to be with Bai Yu. Bai Yu was just too outstanding, too perfect. Thinking of this, a faint blush appeared on Qinglin's face. This should be impossible, right? Bai Yu surely wouldn't like a woman of my age. Qinglin knew very well that she was already 99 years old, and Bai Yu could never have any thoughts about her. Moreover, the most important point was that she was a strange being, and Bai Yu was human. It would be good enough if Bai Yu didn't dislike her, how could he possibly accept her? With a helpless sigh, Qinglin stopped overthinking and quickly left the building, now housing only her, Mushi, and Bai Yu. Just after Qinglin left, the door of the room next door slowly opened. A powder-haired cat girl named Mushi, dressed in a black dress and white stockings, stepped out of the room, her face flushed. The director really had Dr. Bai Yu live here. Mushi had very sharp hearing, she had noticed the noise when the director brought Bai Yu in just now. Especially the sound of the director's high heels, which was crisp and clear. Should I go apologize to Bai Yu? Looking at the door of Bai Yu's already locked room beside her, Moshi's face became even more flushed. The redness even spread to the back of her ears. Even though a little time had passed, just thinking about it now made Moshi feel incredibly shy. Why did she say such things to Bai Yu today? In the end, after a fierce internal struggle, Moing decided. She would go explain the situation to Bai Yu. She really didn't mean to. Moreover, besides this matter, she also wanted to give Bai Yu the 5,000 strange coins tips he received for curing those unusual illnesses today. Taking a deep breath to calm herself down as much as possible, Moshi walked towards Bai Yu's room. Inside the room, Bai Yu took a black outfit out of the closet, planning to take a shower and have a good sleep. Xinglin was quite prepared, even having men's clothing ready for him. And it fit perfectly. He really didn't know how that cool and aloof lady knew his body measurements. But just as Bai Yu was holding the clothes and about to walk toward the bathroom, he suddenly heard a knock on the door. Knock knock knock. Dr. Bai Yu, it's me, Emoshi. Are you asleep? Emoshi's soft, youthful voice entered his ears. Bai Yu put down the clothes, feeling a bit puzzled. It was late at night, why was this little cat girl looking for him? Recalling what she said in the clinic today, Bai Yu felt a bit helpless. She can't be here to eat me, right? Thinking this, Bai Yu responded. Not yet. After speaking, Bai Yu walked to the door and opened it. Dressed in a black dress paired with white stockings, with a curvy figure and a flushed face, the blushing white stocking cat girl Emoshi appeared right before him. Looking at Emoshi, Bai Yu smiled gently. Emoshi, what brings you here? As her beautiful eyes gazed at Bai Yu's warm smiling face, Emoshi's throat moved, and her body became even hotter. Fortunately, she quickly calmed down, blushing as she spoke softly. Dr. Bai Yu, about what I said in the clinic today, please don't take it to heart. I didn't mean to say those things. After Emoshi finished speaking, her gaze unconsciously dropped, not daring to look at Bai Yu. The pink cat ears on her head also drooped down. She looked quite lackluster. It's alright, I don't mind those things. Bai Yu's tone was gentle. He was telling the truth, Bai Yu really didn't care about what Emoshi said. Really? Bai Yu, you really didn't feel uncomfortable because of what I said? Emoshi raised her gaze, her tone excited, her eyes filled with hope. The cat ears that had drooped down on her head perked up again. Of course it's true. Just as he finished answering, Bai Yu heard the mechanical female voice in his ear again. You have completed a psychological treatment, gained skill points plus 20, strange doctor proficiency plus 300, Emoshi's heartfelt admiration plus 400. Upon receiving Bai Yu's response, a sweet smile of excitement finally reappeared on Emoshi's face. MMHM. Dr. Bai Yu. Nodding vigorously, Emoshi smiled and took out 5 large strange coins from her skirt pocket. By the way, Dr. Bai Yu, here are 5,000 strange coins, which are the tips for today's strange patients. Take them, hee hee. As she spoke, Emoshi stretched out her hand to give the strange coins to Bai Yu. Miss Emoshi, thank you very much. Bai Yu did not refuse the strange coins Emoshi offered. After all, in a horror game, strange coins could be used to buy life. Having money can push the strange in horror games, this is not a joke. You have obtained 5,000 strange coins, which have all been placed in the horror game warehouse. Seeing Bai Yu accept the strange coins, the large stone in Emoshi's heart finally fell. Hee hee, you're welcome. Dr. Bai Yu, I won't disturb your rest anymore. I will come find you tomorrow at work, hee hee. After Emoshi finished speaking, she quickly turned around and left. Bai Yu smiled faintly, then closed the door, preparing to take a shower and rest. Tomorrow, I still have to continue treating the strange beings. Thinking about having to work outside the game and work inside the game, Bai Yu couldn't help but sigh helplessly. Ha! Bai Yu. As soon as she returned to her room, Emoshi sat on the floor by the bed, her face flushed and her temperature high. Her hands tightly hugged her soft legs covered in white pantyhose, her delicate little feet resting on the clean floor. Exhaling a breath with a hint of white mist, Emoshi licked her lips and then revealed a smile filled with possessiveness. Bai Yu, so gentle. Emoshi had already started to fantasize about the feeling of being embraced by Bai Yu. This made her hug her legs even tighter. Just then, Emoshi suddenly heard the sound of running water coming from the wall next to her. This is the sound of Dr. Bai Yu taking a shower. Emoshi quickly stood up, came to the corner of the wall, and pressed her face against the cold white wall. Bai Yu's bathroom was separated from her room by just a wall. Listening to the sound of water flowing behind the wall, a very obvious desire emerged in Emoshi's pink eyes. Chapter 11, Going to be completely devoured. After taking a shower, Bai Yu changed into the black clothes prepared by the director and lay down tiredly on the comfortable bed. 4 more days. With a thought, he opened his warehouse. Bai Yu looked at the 15,000 strange coins in the warehouse and felt a wave of joy in his heart. This is one of the foundations for him to better clear the horror game in the future. In horror games, items in the warehouse can be brought into the real world. But the warehouse can only hold items given by strange beings, not those given by players. Even if the item is unowned, it still cannot be put in. Because of this, killing and robbing in the game is simply non-existent. After all, if you kill someone, you can't get their stuff, and you can't use it or take it away. After reading the information, Bai Yu stretched and then turned over to close his eyes. Exhausted, he quickly fell asleep. But what puzzled Bai Yu was why there was a faint fragrance on this bed. This fragrance was exactly the same as the scent of that black long straight-haired pants-wearing lady director. While Bai Yu was resting, in the next room, She was kneeling in the corner, her small mouth slightly open, breathing in small gasps. The sound of Bai Yu showering earlier had made her addicted. She wanted to hear more. Fortunately, at this moment, there was no more noise coming from Bai Yu's room next door. This allowed Emoshi, with her flushed face, to calm down a little. Emoshi knew that if Bai Yu made any noise again, she definitely couldn't stay calm. Ha! Taking a deep breath, Emoshi swayed and stood up, coming to the bedside, and directly lay on the bed. Using her hands and feet, Emoshi tightly hugged the pillow in her arms, imagining Bai Yu's perfect appearance in her mind. She closed her eyes. Meanwhile, in the director's office of the hospital, Director Changlin sat in her chair, crossing her legs. Her black silk soft feet exposed to the air, black and red high-heeled shoes dangling on her toes, seemingly about to fall. On the desk in front of her, there were all the praise documents from the strange beings that were treated, given to Bai Yu. Bai Yu really is amazing. Thinking of Bai Yu's appearance, a charming smile curled the corner of Changlin's mouth. Originally, the hospital she ran was about to close down. She had thought of many remedies, even investing all the money she earned from her restaurant into this hospital. Yet, she still couldn't change the fact that it was about to close. She had already decided on the reality of the hospital's closure. But unexpectedly, Bai Yu's appearance directly saved her hospital. Now, not to mention closing down, even losing money was impossible. The strange coins earned every day were more than what she made in her restaurant. Thinking of this, a vision of Bai Yu in the room, looking at her with desire, appeared in Changlin's mind. This made Changlin's delicate ladylike face. A subtle blush appeared. A man as powerful and handsome as Bai Yu, she truly, really liked him. Her tongue licked her soft lips, and Changlin's breath became noticeable. But just as she was thinking of Bai Yu, suddenly, the landline on her desk rang. Changlin quickly regained her composure and reached for the phone. After listening to the voice on the other end, her eyes widened slightly. What? Ms. Lang, you have also heard about Dr. Bai? Alright, I will inform Dr. Bai in advance, but I'm not sure if Dr. Bai can cure you. After all, Ms. Lang, your issue is quite serious, please prepare yourself mentally. Moments later, Changlin hung up the phone, a flicker of difficulty passing through her eyes. Now, she and her hospital were completely bound to Bai Yu. At 2 in the morning. Emoshi lay flat on the bed, her legs in white stockings tightly closed, her chest rising and falling violently. The air conditioning was set to the lowest, yet Emoshi still felt extremely hot. Pure fragrant sweat seeped out, wetting her dress. So uncomfortable, so uncomfortable. Emoshi's face was flushed, her throat dry, her eyes tightly closed, pink strands of hair slightly messy. At this moment, she emanated a special alluring fragrance. This scent could only be smelled by Bai Yu. A few minutes later, Emoshi sat up and glanced at the door. Then, she groggily got out of bed and headed towards the room's door. Bai Yu was still sleeping on the bed. In this terrifying game world, there was no moonlight, as the sky was shrouded in clouds both day and night. This made the room very dark. Creak. The door swung open. Emoshi, dressed in a black dress and white stockings with cat ears, walked in from outside. The door was gently closed. Her bare, white silk-clad little feet stepped on the clean floor, her steps graceful, making no sound. Arriving at the bedside, Emoshi lowered her gaze. Though the room was pitch black, her vision was unaffected. Her pink eyes stared at the perfect face of Bai Yu on the bed. Emoshi's face flushed, her delicate body suddenly hot. The breath she exhaled became humid and warm. Bai Yu. Licking her lips, Emoshi didn't know what was happening to her. She had been sleeping well, but suddenly, woke up in the middle of the night, feeling hot all over. This feeling was exactly the same as when she had her previous episode. But it was not completely the same. During her previous episode, her emotions were very unstable, wanting to destroy everything around her. But now, during her episode, she only wanted to be close to Bai Yu. She wanted to smell Bai Yu's scent, taste Bai Yu's flavor, and possess everything about Bai Yu. Suhasaha. Bai Yu. Bai Yu. Her pink tongue emerged, the fragrant drool coating her soft lips. Emoshi extended her hands, her white silk legs moving forward. Just like that, she came to the bed. Groggily, Bai Yu felt a wave of heat rush towards him. Then, an unparalleled softness pressed down on his body from above. It pressed down on Bai Yu, making it hard for him to breathe. What is going on? In his confusion, Bai Yu opened his eyes. Immediately, he clearly saw. His white silk catgirl assistant Moshi, he didn't know when, had come onto him and was pinning him down. Emoshi, what are you? Bai Yu's heart trembled greatly. What happened? Why was Emoshi here? Moreover, something was very off about her appearance. Bai Yu could tell at a glance that Emoshi was acting very unusually now. Her gaze looked as if she had seen some delicious food. Not good. This little cat girl wouldn't want to eat him, would she? Bai Yu immediately became alert. Sure enough, the strange occurrences in the horror game, no matter how safe they appeared, were still dangerous anomalies that could consume people. Before Bai Yu could finish speaking, she let out a trembling voice. Dr. Bai Yu, I feel so uncomfortable. It seems I'm sick. Hearing this, Bai Yu quickly equipped his strange doctor skills. Bai Yu suddenly realized. This little cat girl's illness is the sunny illness that I cured her of before. Didn't I give her medicine and successfully treat her problem? Although this treatment only suppressed her inner thoughts with medication. It means she needs to take medicine regularly until she truly finds a partner. However, with each medication, at least for a month, she wouldn't relapse. Why is it that only a day has passed, and now? Bai Yu, aren't you a doctor? Come treat me. Before Bai Yu could react, she bent down. Seeing the delicate girl's face approaching, Bai Yu was about to speak. But he felt an unparalleled softness sweeping over from her lips. It was like a soft jelly exploding in his mouth, filled with the fragrant scent of a young girl, instantly filling all his senses. What Bai Yu wanted to say was completely blocked, unable to be spoken. At that moment, Bai Yu finally understood. This cat girl she indeed wanted to devour him. But it wasn't with the small mouth on her exquisite face, but rather. He was going to be devoured clean. Chapter 12, The Appetite of the Cold Director's Gaze. At 8 o'clock in the morning. Director Cheng Lin walked down from the third floor to the second floor where Bai Yu lived. She still wore a black women's suit, but below, it was no longer pants, but a black skirt. Her long legs and black stockings were finally exposed to the air. With black high heels, combined with her cool temperament, she radiated the charm of a cold, elegant woman. Upon reaching the second floor, she naturally wanted to check if Bai Yu had slept comfortably last night. After all, Bai Yu was the one who revived her hospital. Moreover, since meeting Bai Yu yesterday, Cheng Lin developed extremely strong feelings for him. But she also knew well that Bai Yu was human and wouldn't stay long in her world. To have Bai Yu stay in her hospital for a few days was already quite good. So Cheng Lin could only bury her feelings for Bai Yu deep in her heart. As she walked toward Bai Yu's room, the sound of her high heels echoed in the hallway. After just a few steps, Cheng Lin noticed that the door to Moshi's room was actually open. The little cat girl was not in her room. Moshi actually woke up early? Cheng Lin expressed surprise. This strange sister of hers usually wouldn't wake up until noon. Yesterday, she had to call her to wake up and try eating humans to heal, before she finally got up. It seems Bai Yu's presence has indeed changed her. Satisfied, Cheng Lin nodded her head and approached Bai Yu's room door. She raised her right hand, just about to knock on the door. Suddenly, she smelled a faint blood scent. In addition to that, Cheng Lin also caught the scent of Mo she mixed with a strong yang energy seeping through the crack of the door. As an oddity, Cheng Lin's sense of smell was very sharp. In an instant, she understood what had happened in the room. Her cheeks involuntarily flushed with embarrassment. Is this Bai Yu's scent? How magnificent! She swallowed a fragrant saliva. As an oddity, Cheng Lin finally understood why so many strange beings like to eat humans to gain yang energy. It turned out the scent of yang energy was so addictive to oddities. To prevent herself from doing anything inappropriate, Cheng Lin forcefully calmed herself down. Then she turned around and left the residence building, heading to the hospital. In the room, a smear of red on the snow-white sheets. Bai Yu, lying on his side, slowly opened his eyes, feeling the softness in his arms. His body only felt fatigue. At that moment, a mechanical female voice sounded in his ears. You have healed an oddity, earning skill points plus 100, oddity doctor proficiency plus 2,400, and from Moshi's attachment plus 10 million. Looking at the notification, Bai Yu showed a wry smile. He truly had completely cured Moshi's problem. It's just the way of treatment. Closing the talent information panel, Bai Yu slightly lowered his gaze. He looked at the little cat girl in his arms, who was only wearing battle-damaged white stockings. Unable to help but sigh deeply. He actually is really with the strange one. The first one to be with him is not human, but a strange being. This is something Bai Yu had never thought of. But I have to say, the taste of strange is really good. His right hand slightly lifted, stroking Mushi's head, rubbing her fluffy cat ears. Bai Yu's gaze was gentle. He is not an irresponsible person. Even if Mushi is strange, Bai Yu would take good care of her, take on his responsibilities. Yet this Mushi is completely exhausting him. It makes him feel utterly worn out now. He still has to go to work later. Moreover, what Mushi is doing is simply harming the enemy 1,000, hurting oneself 2,000. This little cat girl is currently so exhausted that she hasn't even awakened. He can't just skip work today, right? In helplessness, Bai Yu had to activate his full skill talent. You consume 300 skill points to activate the ordinary body recovery skill. Current remaining skill points, 200. Body recovery, level 1 allows your body to recover to peak condition. Cooldown time is 12 hours. Tip: consuming skill points can upgrade the body recovery skill level and reduce cooldown time. Passive skill body recovery, your stamina recovery speed is increased by 300%. Without any hesitation, Bai Yu directly used the body recovery skill. You have activated body recovery. With the prompt tone sounding, Bai Yu's exhaustion completely vanished. Besides the disappearance of exhaustion, Bai Yu also clearly noticed that his stamina, energy, mental strength, and attention all were thoroughly restored. No wonder activating this body recovery skill requires consuming so many skill points. It turns out, this skill is truly powerful. Bai Yu knows very well that this body recovery skill is like a life-saving skill for him. For instance, when fighting an opponent and both sides reach their limits, at that moment, using body recovery once. Wouldn't that cause the opponent to explode? Taking a deep breath, feeling the strength of his body. Now, Bai Yu can continue to treat those strange beings, earn skill points, and upgrade his strange doctor profession skills. Director Qinglin promised him a salary of 5,000 ghost coins a day. Bai Yu certainly cannot slack off, he must live up to that cool, long-haired, high-end cold lady. Gently releasing the white-haired cat girl in his arms, Bai Yu moved softly, not waking up Mushi. Putting on a black outfit again, and with a slight effort, grabbing Mushi's delicate, fluffy pink cat tail, covering her with a blanket. Only then did Bai Yu leave the room with peace of mind. Yesterday, Qinglin said that 9 o'clock in the morning is his work time. There's still half an hour until 9, so he can grab some breakfast first. Although the body recovery skill restored Bai Yu's body, he would still feel hungry. Leaving the living area, Bai Yu entered the hospital. As soon as he entered, he saw several temporary workers from the horror game cleaning the place. From their deep dark circles, it was clear that they hadn't rested well last night. Even the veteran players were moving sluggishly compared to yesterday, not as quick. In contrast, Bai Yu was alert, proudly wearing the Elite Doctor badge. This made the rookie players cleaning feel envious. Because they had received education from veteran players yesterday, today, those rookie players at last had no negative feelings towards Bai Yu. On the contrary, they were very grateful to have met a big shot like Bai Yu who could guide them. This allowed them to survive in this high-mortality horror hospital instance. They all expressed grateful looks towards Bai Yu. Bai Yu didn't care how these people viewed him at all. What does it matter if they are hostile or grateful? Walking through the hospital corridor, arriving at the hospital lobby, Bai Yu saw a familiar figure there. That would certainly be the high-cold director Qinglin. Good morning, Dean. After greeting, Bai Yu's gaze unconsciously looked down. Today's Dean was no longer dressed in long pants paired with black tights. She wore a black dress, from which two long, beautiful legs clad in black stockings emerged. The Dean's legs truly seemed to outlast life itself. Bai Yu had to use all his strength to pull his gaze back from those stunning legs in stockings. Bai Yu, you're awake? Qinglin came back to her senses and turned to look at Bai Yu. There's still half an hour until work starts, you came a bit early, it's unnecessary, you should rest more for your health. As she looked at Bai Yu, a smile unconsciously formed at the corners of her mouth. Her eyes were filled with possessiveness for Bai Yu. This expression, paired with her exquisite and perfect mature face, was extremely charming. Bai Yu, under the Dean's gaze as if looking at a delicious dish, felt a twitch in his lower back and a slight movement in his throat. I've had enough sleep, that's why I woke up, my health is fine. Bai Yu felt something was off. The Dean cared so much about his health, and showed him a gaze akin to that directed at a tempting meal. Could it be that unlike Emoshi, this Dean truly wanted to devour him? Chapter 13, didn't you say you would come? Upon receiving Bai Yu's reply, the smile in Qinglin's eyes deepened. Bai Yu's body truly was quite remarkable. He had been with Emoshi already, and yet he still looked so vibrant. In comparison, earlier Emoshi had called her to take a leave, sounding utterly weak. This vibrant appearance made it hard for her to suppress her inner thoughts. She also wanted to treat Bai Yu like Emoshi did. Luckily, Qinglin quickly calmed down, discarding the strange thoughts in her mind. Bai Yu was Emoshi's little sisters, how could she think wildly? It's good as long as you've rested enough. Nodding again, Qinglin directly changed the subject. By the way, Bai Yu, there's something very important I need to tell you. Qinglin's expression suddenly became as cold and serious as usual. Dean, what is it? Seeing the change in the Dean's expression, Bai Yu felt puzzled. What had happened to make the Dean so serious? Could it be that the hospital was going to close? It's just, there's a peculiar woman named Lang Xian who has heard about you and wishes for you to treat her. Her illness is very serious, countless hospitals have failed to cure her, and if you can't treat her, she may very well kill you. Lin spoke in a somewhat heavy tone, worried that Bai Yu would refuse. What she thought was a big deal turned out to be such a small matter. Then let her come, treating illnesses is my job. Bai Yu replied softly. Although it was just a peculiar person coming to him for treatment, Bai Yu was well aware that being regarded with such importance by Lin meant the other party must hold a very high status and great power. Otherwise, the cold dean wouldn't be this concerned. But Bai Yu wasn't worried at all. As a doctor with upgraded professional skills, he was now capable of solving many difficult problems. Moreover, with Bai Yu now, the bonuses from treating minor ailments were not significant anymore. Instead, he needed to tackle severe illnesses to gain more skill points and proficiency. Bai Yu hoped for more peculiar cases like Lang Xians to come for him to treat. Bai Yu, I'm glad you're willing. Lin's tone was excited, and a clear smile appeared on her face. Rest assured, I won't let you work for free. As long as you can cure her, I will give you a reward of 10,000 Eerie coins. Lin did this, of course, to draw closer to Bai Yu. Bai Yu was already completely together with Mo Shi. By connecting through Mo Shi, she could have Bai Yu help at the hospital in the future. So she had to get close to Bai Yu, the closer, the better. And the best way to build a closer relationship, in Lin's view, was through money. No one loves money more than those strange beings. 10,000 Eerie coins. Bai Yu was a little surprised in his heart. Now he had a whole 15,000 Eerie coins in his warehouse. If another 10,000 came, he could truly be considered the richest newcomer player in the horror game. And it was somewhat amusing to say, his Eerie coins were actually more than his own money in the real world. Nodding slightly, Bai Yu smiled gently. Then let me thank the director first. This gentle smile from Bai Yu made Lin's expression freeze for a moment. Then, the temperature of her originally slightly warm body immediately rose from 20 degrees to over 30 degrees. And it continued to rise. Quickly coming back to her senses, Lin suppressed the urge to reach out and touch Bai Yu and smiled as she spoke. No need to thank me, this is what you deserve. After saying this, Lin's throat moved slightly. Bai Yu, hurry and go eat breakfast, I won't waste your time any longer. With this, Bai Yu turned around and walked towards the hospital cafeteria. Watching Bai Yu's back, a trace of possessiveness appeared in Lin's eyes. Although he was Mo Shi's younger brother, Lin still wanted. In Lin's mind, Bai Yu was in quite a terrible state right now. His eyes dull, his body completely exposed, lying there blankly. This made Lin's pale face begin to show an obvious blush. The temperature of her delicate body directly shot up from 30 degrees to 40 degrees. Fortunately, it was still early, and there were no other people or weirdos in the hall, otherwise, she would definitely frighten everyone with her current state. The usually aloof and expressionless black-haired director actually revealed such a charming pose. All over her body, she exuded a fragrance that only Bai Yu could smell. The Eerie society was an extremely ruthless world that worshipped the strong. Strength was not just about powerful combat, having a lot of money, possessing a high status, or having formidable abilities, these were also considered strength. And Bai Yu was a strong person in the eyes of the Eerie, not just the usual kind of strong. Having the ability to heal countless Eerie creatures, how could this not be considered strength? This made her how could she not have thoughts about Bai Yu? With a slightly dissatisfied lick of her lips, she did not turn around until Bai Yu's figure completely disappeared from her sight. Only then did Lin turn around, stepping in her black silk high heels, and leave the hospital hall. After eating breakfast, Bai Yu returned to the consultation room from yesterday. Putting on his white coat and sitting in front of the consultation desk, Bai Yu began to wait for the Eerie ones to arrive. At this time, many Eerie beings were already waiting in front of the hospital's main entrance. They had all heard the reputation of the miraculous Dr. Bai Yu, coming to request him to treat them. At the hospital reception, the three new players responsible for receiving the patients were pale with fear as they looked at the numerous, bizarre, and blood-soaked Eerie beings outside. Fortunately, we have the great Bai Yu here, otherwise, facing so many weirdos I would probably be dead by now. One of the new players was very grateful to Bai Yu in his heart, wishing he could directly recognize Bai Yu as his father. Soon, the hospital opened. The Eerie beings that had already been waiting for a long time rushed in like a swarm. The Eerie security guards patrolling inside the hospital were completely stunned by this scene. A hospital that usually had no Eerie patients suddenly had so many today. They couldn't even manage it. Inside the consultation room, Bai Yu listened to the noise outside and immediately knew that work time had arrived. Sure enough, a few seconds later, the door of the consultation room was slammed open. Doctor! I'm going to die. Quickly save me. A skull-like Eerie being, with its head on fire, rushed into the consultation room and immediately knelt down in front of Bai Yu. Bai Yu's eyelids twitched. Fortunately, this is an Eerie world. If it were reality and a patient knelt down to a doctor, that would be quite troublesome. Don't worry, even if you die in front of me, I can still save you. Bai Yu stood up and began to treat this flame-headed skeleton. Outside the consultation room, a massive number of eerie creatures were forming a long line here. The line even extended to the hospital entrance, blocking the corridor completely. So many bizarre things scared the cleaning players inside the hospital, making them afraid to approach. They could only stand aside and stare blankly. Even the old players were shocked beyond belief. It was the first time they had seen so many oddities in a horror game. Not just the human players, but even the other strange doctors in the hospital came out of their consultation rooms to look at the queue of oddities outside the corridor. So many oddities made their scalps tingle. Because these oddities were not just numerous, but their ailments were also very hard to treat. This made the strange doctors completely admire Bai Yu in their hearts. A human, and only in his teens, with medical skills better than theirs. They felt deeply ashamed. Ha ha ha. I've survived. The door to the consultation room was opened. A skull oddity with extinguished flames on its head laughed loudly as it walked out of the consultation room. Its joyful demeanor made the queuing oddities anxious. They wanted to get treated too. And the oddity at the front of the queue excitedly entered the consultation room. Time passed from morning to noon. With Bai Yu's efforts, the originally crowded hospital finally became spacious. All the oddities had been successfully treated by Bai Yu alone. Ha ha! A disease that troubled me for over a decade is finally cured. The last oddity left the consultation room and excitedly ran away. You have completed a surgery, earning skill points plus 10, strange doctor proficiency plus 200. Inside the consultation room, Bai Yu sat in front of the consultation table, rubbing his shoulders, visibly exhausted. This was still under the premise of having a body restoration passive that increased stamina recovery speed by plus 300%. Without this passive, Bai Yu would have been even more tired. But upon seeing the skill points, Bai Yu felt rejuvenated, filled with determination. Skill points, 700. I'm tired, but getting 700 skill points in just one morning is really great. Moreover, Bai Yu also discovered that his strange doctor profession skill was about to level up again. Today, he would definitely be able to raise his strange doctor level by 1. But what puzzled Bai Yu was that the director said a strange named Lang Xian was coming, right? Why hasn't she shown up yet? Could it be that she had something come up and couldn't make it? Just as Bai Yu was feeling confused. At the hospital entrance, a tall figure walked in from outside. Because the entrance door was a bit low for her, she had to slightly bend down to enter the hospital. Upon seeing the figure walking into the hospital, the 3 horror game players at the front desk reacting to oddities all showed signs of fear. One of them, who had a fragile mindset, even took a half step back. The one who entered was a woman. She wore a large straw hat, and her exquisite, mature, beautiful face had no expression at all. Light blue hair naturally fell down, reaching her waist. Below her snow-white neck, she wore a white long dress, showcasing her plump, mature figure. The surging waves of her body, the size of her head, seemed ready to burst through her dress, standing high. Under the long dress, her small legs and white stockings were exposed to the air. From her appearance, she looked like an extremely beautiful, mature, and voluptuous perfect woman. Even a casual movement of hers revealed the unique charm of a mature woman. As for why such a perfect figure would instill fear in the 3 horror game players, it was still because she stood a towering 2 meters and 4 centimeters tall. Almost lifting her hand could touch the ceiling of this corridor. Moreover, her presence made the surrounding air drop by several degrees. Frost even appeared on the ground, being stepped on by her white boots. She was an oddity. And a very powerful one. How could these players not feel fear? Fortunately, this tall woman did not care about the player at the reception desk. Instead, she walked straight into the hospital lobby. As soon as she arrived, she saw Director Qinglin, who was already waiting there. Ms. Lang, you are here. Qinglin looked at this mature woman, a smile appeared on her face. No longer the usual cold demeanor. This cold, aloof woman could not seem distant compared to the other. After all, the other was the head of the 8-foot family, the bizarre snow woman, Lang Xian. The 8-foot family holds a very high status in this strange world, controlling countless industries. Their family is ranked even higher than Moshi's family, let alone comparing it to her own. Lang Xian herself is a business genius, and her bizarre ice crystals have been snatched up for purchase. The bizarre currency she controls amounts to hundreds of millions. So Qinglin naturally wanted to give her a warm welcome. Where is Dr. Bai? Lang Xian was concise, her tone devoid of any emotion, and her expression showed no change at all. He's in the consultation room, Ms. Lang. I'll take you there. Qinglin replied and led Lang Xian toward Bai Yu's consultation room. Hearing the sound of the consultation room door being pushed open, Bai Yu raised his head, and upon seeing everything in front of him, his heart couldn't help but leap. So big, isn't it tiring? Fortunately, it's bizarre, if it were a person, they'd have been exhausted long ago. Bai Yu clearly saw a tall, robust, and mature woman bending down, entering the consultation room. Besides that, Bai Yu also saw Director Qinglin standing outside the door. It seemed that this tall 8-foot sister was the Lang Xin whom the director wanted him to treat. The door to the consultation room closed. Standing outside, Qinglin felt very nervous. She was extremely worried that Bai Yu would not be able to treat Lang Xin. If such a thing happened, then there would be serious trouble for both Bai Yu and her. Inside the consultation room, Lang Xin looked at Bai Yu sitting at the consultation desk, and finally showed some emotion in her eyes. "You are Dr. Bai Yu? You are actually a human." Lang Xion's tone was puzzled. It seemed she was surprised that a human could be such an excellent bazaar doctor. The mature voice reached Bai Yu's ears, and he nodded. "Yes, that's me." Regaining his composure, Bai Yu looked relaxed and showed no fear towards Lang Xian. "Sister, do you have any problems with your health?" Lang Xion's illness was not just serious, Bai Yu was actually unable to detect her bodily issues. If it were any other bizarre being, he would have known the issue at first glance. Just like with Emoshi before. "What problems do I have? Shouldn't you tell me? Could it be that the reputation of a miraculous doctor that precedes you is all false?" A hint of anger surged in Lang Xion's tone. This instantly caused the temperature in the consultation room to drop over 20 degrees. Bai Yu even saw white mist escape as he breathed out. Outside the consultation room, Qinglin felt the dropping temperature and became very nervous. She knew very well that although Lang Xian had just seemed calm, in reality, her mental state was very unstable. Since becoming ill, her emotions had grown very unpredictable. She would either be furiously angry or completely expressionless. "I hope Bai Yu can cure Lang Xian." Qinglin really didn't want anything to happen to Bai Yu. She even secretly decided that if anything went wrong, she would have to stand in front of Bai Yu. She didn't like Bai Yu, she just didn't want Bai Yu to be hurt, not wanting to worry like her younger sister Emoshi who had a good relationship with Bai Yu. After saying that, Lang Xian directly walked to the seat in front of Bai Yu's consultation desk and sat down, her huge form swaying up and down. Fortunately, her white dress was very modest, otherwise, if her curves were exposed, Bai Yu really wouldn't know where to look. "If you can't treat me, this is the consequence." Lang Xian waved her right hand, and Bai Yu saw one of the medical instruments nearby. Directly frozen into an ice cube. In the next second, the ice cube shattered, and the medical equipment also broke and fell to the ground. Although Lang Xian appeared outwardly calm, her actions told Bai Yu that she was very angry now. Faced with Lang Xian's intimidation, Bai Yu was not scared, merely furrowing his brows. "That equipment is worth 3,000 strange coins, you can find the dean to pay for it later." After saying that, Bai Yu straightened his body and continued to remind her. "Extend your hand, I'll help you check your pulse." Since he couldn't figure out Lang Xian's problem, he could only check using the pulse method. "What?" Lang Xian's tone was still cold and flat, her eyes showing some resistance. Having never had contact with the opposite sex, she really didn't want to touch the weak human Bai Yu. But after looking at Bai Yu's handsome face for a few more seconds, her resistance eased a little. It's just for treating the illness after all." Her fair right hand stretched out, resting on the consultation table. At that moment, Lang Xian began to carefully observe Bai Yu. Having not looked closely before, she now noticed that Dr. Bai Yu looked so young. Moreover, his serious work demeanor gave him an indescribable perfect aura. Most importantly, Bai Yu showed no fear in the face of her threat. Compared to other humans she had seen who felt fear without any threat, he was very different. At this moment, Bai Yu extended his hand and began to check the pulse of this 8-foot snow girl. When Bai Yu touched her arm, Lang Xian felt a jolt of electricity, her delicate body trembling. "Sister, please do not move. Otherwise, the pulse check won't be accurate." Bai Yu reminded helplessly, afraid that this 8-foot snow girl would make another move. Upon hearing this, although there was still no expression on Lang Xian's mature face, a faint blush appeared. Lang Xian didn't expect that the first time she touched the opposite sex would feel so comfortable. If one had to describe it, it was like a place being very itchy, and then being scratched vigorously, a smooth, comfortable feeling. This made Lang Xian look at Bai Yu with obvious joy in her eyes. Her formerly tense, tall and voluptuous body completely relaxed at this moment. She felt very satisfied. Dr. Bai Yu, truly amazing. Chapter 15 Little Gluttonous Cat Emoshi. 1 minute passed, and Bai Yu withdrew his right hand that had been checking Lang Xian's pulse. "This patient, sister, have you been very emotionally unstable every day since 5 years ago, becoming increasingly impatient while working? You might even become enraged over small matters and destroy things around you. Besides your emotions, your heart sometimes experiences sharp pain, and sometimes you can't control the strange aura in your body." Bai Yu's expression remained calm, and his tone was very flat. But it caused Lang Xian's blue eyes to widen, her mature face clearly showing surprise. "Dr. Bai Yu, you are right. You are the first doctor to find out my health problems. Is there any way to cure me? Her body trembled again, and Lang Xian's eyes showed anticipation. She had been tormented by this illness to the point of madness. When not sick, she was a rather nice personality for a weird being. After all, beings with terrible personalities cannot develop a vast commercial empire. Don't worry, in my view, this illness is not a big deal. It's just that a long time without proper rest has disrupted the strange aura in your body. I'll write a prescription for you. After taking the medicine, rest for 2 hours, and then I'll perform a small surgery for you, which will completely cure this illness. After finishing his words, Bai Yu took up paper and pen, beginning to write the prescription. In Bai Yu's view, this 8-foot sister was really lucky. If it had been yesterday when he had just unlocked the strange doctor profession skills, he wouldn't have been able to treat her at all. At most, he could only alleviate her discomfort. But now, with the strange doctor profession skill upgraded to intermediate, Bai Yu could easily resolve Lang Xian's issue. Soon, Bai Yu finished writing the prescription and handed it to Lang Xian. Lang Xian reached out to take it without hesitation, quickly stood up, and left the consultation room. She was so anxious that she didn't even close the consultation room door. Bai Yu even saw Lin waiting outside the door, following Lang Xian towards the pharmacy of the hospital. You prescribed the right medicine, gain skill points +5, strange doctor proficiency +50, satisfaction from Lang Xian +300. Hey, she didn't even close the door. With a helpless sigh, Bai Yu stood up to close the consultation room door. But at that moment, Bai Yu saw a well-developed, lively figure walking in from outside the door. Hey Bai Yu, I brought you lunch. She walked in from outside the consultation room. She also conveniently closed the door. At this moment, she was still in that pink nurse uniform, with her legs in white stockings. After being nurtured by Bai Yu, her temperament had matured quite a bit, but compared to the hospital director Lin, or the 8-foot snow woman Lang Xian from earlier, she still fell short. After all, her features were quite youthful, and she still had a pair of cat ears on her head, making her mostly embody a cute girl's charm. Seeing the lovely cat girl with slightly frizzy pink hair, Bai Yu was stunned for a moment, then smiled gently. You're here. Did you rest enough? Bai Yu didn't expect Shi to have rested enough so soon. After all, this morning, she had needed help just to turn over. This made Bai Yu a little worried that she was pushing herself to come help him. With white legs stepping forward, she smiled as she approached Bai Yu and placed the 2 boxes of food she brought on the consultation table. After that, her face flushed, and she smiled as she came into Bai Yu's arms. With her hands out, she tightly hugged Bai Yu's strong body full of warmth, lifting her face to gaze closely with Bai Yu. Hey Bai Yu, don't worry, I'm already fine. I can work with you now. After she finished speaking, the pink cat ears on her head began to twitch rapidly. The fluffy cat tail behind her also started to sway. That's good if you're fine. With his left arm around Shi's soft and fragrant body, Bai Yu raised his right hand to stroke her cat head, and he even rubbed her soft cat ears. Feeling Bai Yu's touch, Shi's face turned even redder. Now she didn't need to suppress her thoughts as she had before. Gently licking her soft lips, Shi smiled and spoke. Bai Yu, you should eat something, otherwise, the food will get cold and won't be tasty. Reminded by her, Bai Yu released the white cat girl in his arms and gently nodded. Okay, Shi, I'll listen to you. Just right, I'm also hungry. After working all morning, Bai Yu hadn't rested at all, and he really was very hungry now. Sitting back in his seat, Bai Yu began to eat the lunch that Shi had brought. This time, Shi didn't eat with Bai Yu, instead, she quietly sat beside him, her face flushed, smiling at Bai Yu. A few minutes later, after Bai Yu finished his meal, he leaned back in the chair, slightly relaxing his body. Seeing Bai Yu finish eating, a glimmer of mischief flashed in Shi's eyes. Bai Yu, how is it? Are you full? If not, I can go get you more. With her soft little mouth slightly open, Shi's tone was very gentle. Bai Yu shook his head repeatedly upon hearing this. Shi, no need, I'm already full. He wasn't a big eater, and the food Shi brought was already enough to fill him. Since you're full, then it's my turn to eat. Shi's soft voice entered Bai Yu's ears, making him puzzled. Shi, what are you eating? Turning his gaze, Bai Yu was about to ask, but he found that the white cat girl sitting beside him had disappeared. Bai Yu, I'm right here. Hearing the voice, along with a sensation of tugging, Bai Yu quickly turned his eyes back and then saw. At this moment, the little cat girl, Moshi, was squatting under the table, blushing, smiling at him. Seeing this scene, Bai Yu was greatly shocked. Moshi, don't. Just as he wanted to stop her, Moshi was faster. This little greedy cat directly. At this moment, the thing Bai Yu least wanted to see happened. The door of the clinic was pushed open right then. Bai Yu, I didn't expect you to be so amazing. Lang Xian has taken the medicine you prescribed, and she is feeling much better now. I let her rest in the lounge. A pleasant, mature voice entered his ears. The long-haired, elegant Dean, Qinglin, walked into the clinic, wearing black high heels. Her mature face was filled with a cheerful smile. Seeing the Dean arrive, Bai Yu thought it was a relief. Unexpectedly, Ma Shi sped up even more. Bai Yu couldn't help but clench his hands into fists, raising his gaze, forcing a smile at the Dean. Her illness isn't particularly severe, so I can treat her. Bai Yu responded, his voice trembling a little. Then I can rest assured. As Qinglin spoke, her gaze toward Bai Yu gradually showed a clear possessiveness. Bai Yu, what I said to you before still counts. If you cure Lengxin, I will give you a reward of 10,000 strange coins. After getting a response, Bai Yu smiled and nodded. Thank you, Dean, hiss. My teeth. What teeth? Bai Yu, what's wrong with you? Qinglin looked puzzled, unsure of what was wrong with Bai Yu. Why did he suddenly react so strongly? Could it be that he didn't like the strange coins she offered? It's nothing. Bai Yu clenched his fists tighter, shook his head, and forced another smile. By the way, Dean, Lengxin broke this medical equipment. After Bai Yu spoke, he turned his gaze to the side. His tightly clenched fists completely relaxed at that moment. Following Bai Yu's gaze, Qinglin saw the medical equipment that had become fragments, her delicate nose twitched, a smile formed at the corners of her mouth, an obvious blush appeared on her cheeks. I understand, Bai Yu, don't worry, I will replace it later. After speaking, Qinglin's gaze returned to Bai Yu's face. Bai Yu, there's nothing wrong, I won't disturb your rest. After all, I still need to treat Lengxin. After the Dean finished speaking, she turned around, quickly leaving the clinic in her black high heels. She seemed very anxious, as if something urgent were about to happen. Chapter 16, please bear with it. After the Dean in black stockings left, Bai Yu finally let out a sigh of relief. Looking down, he glanced at the glowing Ma Shi. Bai Yu felt quite helpless and couldn't help but remind her. Ma Shi, be careful from now on, don't do this outside anymore. Just now, we almost got caught by the Dean. Fortunately, the desk of the clinic prevented any view from the front, everything was blocked. Otherwise, Bai Yu was sure that Dean Qinglin would have definitely noticed something wrong. He. With a silly smile, she wiped her mouth. Ma Shi walked out from under the table, came to Bai Yu's back, and began to massage his shoulders. I didn't expect the Dean to come either, Bai Yu, don't worry, I will definitely be careful next time. Ma Shi deliberately spoke in a spoiled tone. The sweet voice entered his ears, causing Bai Yu to feel a surge of annoyance, dispelling everything else. After all, the little cat girl Ma Shi did these things to make him happy. He shouldn't blame her after all. Well, since you said that, Ma Shi, then I have nothing to worry about. Relaxing his body and mind, Bai Yu leaned back in his chair. Feeling Ma Shi's delicate fingers massaging him, Bai Yu narrowed his eyes. After a moment, Ma Shi stopped massaging. Bai Yu, let's take a good rest for a bit. Ma Shi's voice sounded in his ear, and Bai Yu clearly felt a soft touch pressing against him. Opening his eyes, Bai Yu saw that Ma Shi had directly come and sat down beside him. She was sitting on the same chair with him. This chair wasn't very big, and sitting together with Ma Shi felt a bit cramped. But this crowd was filled with a soft and warm fragrance, making Bai Yu smile gently. He extended his left hand and embraced this white silk cat girl. Let's have a good rest. It just so happened that it was noon break, and there was not much going on in the hospital. He could indeed have a good rest. Completely different from those terrifying game players who were utterly exhausted but couldn't rest and earn nothing. Just from the tips earned this morning, Bai Yu had already received 8,000 ghost coins, and now he had a total of 23,000 ghost coins. He could still embrace the soft white silk cat girl to rest. If other horror players knew this, they would definitely be extremely envious of him. Since it's like this. With a light laugh, she stretched out both her hands and tightly hugged Bai Yu's strong body. Her delicate body curled up, removing her pink short boots, leaving her small, slightly pink white silk feet exposed to the air. She extended her soft white silk legs, wrapping around Bai Yu's legs from the side. Like an octopus, she used both hands and feet, closely sticking to Bai Yu's embrace. Her eyes narrowed, and her breathing quickly became even. She fell asleep in an instant. Watching Emoshi's exquisite sleeping face, Bai Yu extended his right hand to caress her fluffy cat ears. Then he also closed his eyes for a short rest. Outside the consultation room, in the hospital corridor, the director, Qinglin, was walking here. However, her pace was very slow. A noticeable blush appeared on Qinglin's mature face. Emoshi, you have truly put me in a difficult position. Thinking of what happened just now in the consultation room, Qinglin felt a wave of warmth and coldness alternating through her delicate body. This made her want to obtain a large amount of yang energy from Bai Yu. With her keen sense of smell, she clearly knew what had happened in the consultation room. Qinglin never expected that Emoshi would be so bold during her conversation with Bai Yu. Moreover, Bai Yu's yang energy was simply too plentiful, too rich. It awakened the desires in her body. Qinglin had endured this for many years, thinking she had already quit, that she wouldn't crave yang energy again. In fact, it was true, she had previously felt no desire when seeing humans. Completely different from the usual strange craving of wanting to devour humans to obtain yang energy. But unexpectedly, Bai Yu's appearance changed everything. Now, she was almost constantly fantasizing about successfully being together with Bai Yu. Her throat moved slightly, and Qinglin took several deep breaths before stepping out of the consultation room and quickly leaving the corridor. 2 hours passed. Bai Yu slowly opened his eyes. Feeling the warm, soft fragrance in his arms, looking at Moshi, who was still in deep sleep, he couldn't help but smile wryly. This little cat girl, really, even though she hadn't rested enough, still came to find him. She must be worried that he would abandon her. Bai Yu would never do such a thing. Although he did not take initiative nor refused, he would definitely not be irresponsible. It seemed that the movement of Bai Yu waking up was significant. She also opened her beautiful pink eyes at this time. She looked very tired and completely not well rested. Moshi, if you're tired, just go back to your room and have a good rest. I can manage the consultation room alone. Bai Yu's tone was somewhat worried. He didn't want his little cat girl to have any physical problems because she was overly exhausted. The Yukiana, Hayuki, who had just come to see him, was seriously ill precisely because she hadn't rested well. Seeing the concern in Bai Yu's eyes, she smiled sweetly. Bai Yu, I'll listen to you. Then I'll go rest first. She really wanted to continue being with Bai Yu here. But she knew very well that Bai Yu was very worried about her right now. If she stayed here, being worried by Bai Yu, that would not be good. Anyway, after work, she could still be with Bai Yu. Releasing the white silk legs entwined around Bai Yu, and putting the pink cat girl, Xiao Shui Gao, back into her pink short boots, she stood up. Leaving the consulting room in a bit of a daze, she even tidied up the lunchbox Bai Yu had left after eating. After she left, Bai Yu finally let out a sigh of relief. This white silk cat girl really is tempting. If she kept clinging to his side, it would surely affect his speed of healing. Not long after she left the consulting room, the door was opened again. The tall and plump 8-foot snow woman, Lang Xin, bent down and walked in from outside. At that moment, the temperature in the consulting room dropped by several degrees. The surface she walked on with her white short boots also developed a faint frost. Upon entering the consulting room, Lang Xin looked at Bai Yu with eyes full of anticipation. Bai Yu, the medicine you prescribed really works. After I took it, I clearly felt much better, and I can slightly control the strange energy inside me. Lang Xin's mood visibly stabilized. Looking at Bai Yu, she was now completely certain that he could definitely cure her. Those medications can only relieve, sister. Next I will perform a surgery on you. It might be somewhat uncomfortable, so please bear with it. Bai Yu reminded her, then stood up, opened the nearby medicine cabinet, and took out many bizarre medicines. He began to prepare them on the spot. Seeing Bai Yu's serious expression, a faint smile finally appeared on Lang Xin's exquisite mature face. I understand, Bai Yu. In Lang Xin's view, what discomfort could come from a surgery? No matter how uncomfortable, could it be worse than how she felt during her attacks? Soon, Bai Yu prepared the medicinal ointment for the surgery, put on medical gloves, picked up a small knife, and walked to Lang Xin's front. Only then did Bai Yu realize how big this 8-foot sister really was. Her sitting height was about the same as his standing height. Bai Yu's throat slightly moved as he handed the ointment to Lang Xin. Sister, drink this ointment. I will perform surgery on the back of your neck to expel all the obstructed strange energy inside you. This will cure your illness. Looking closely at Bai Yu, a faint blush appeared on Lang Xin's face. This human doctor is truly impressive. She had previously frightened Bai Yu, which was indeed somewhat excessive. Quickly regaining her senses, Lang Xin reached out, took the ointment Bai Yu handed her, and drank it all in one go. At this point, Bai Yu had come to the back of the 8-foot snow woman and, with the small knife, made a cut on her snow-white nape. No blood flowed from the cut, instead, a large amount of black gas erupted from the wound. Bai Yu knew clearly that this black gas was the strange energy that instilled fear in countless people. Chapter 17, I saw nothing. The strange energy is the energy within the strange being. The strange being can control this energy to release it, whether for killing or defense. It is precisely because of the existence of strange energy that there is a difference in strength among the strange beings. Sometimes, human players may also carry strange energy, but compared to the strange, it is very rare. Of course, among the strange beings, only high-level or certain special ones can have what is referred to as strange aura. Most strange beings do not possess this. Since Lang Xin's internal strange energy became chaotic, there have been many blockages throughout her body. The ointment just now would cause the blocked strange energy in Lang Xin to concentrate at the back of her neck. Bai Yu was now helping her to clear the blocked strange energy. Soon, all the blocked strange energy within Lang Xian was cleared. No more strange energy surged from the cut on her nape. But at that moment, Bai Yu clearly saw that Lang Xian's delicate body began to tremble. Bai Yu, doctor. I'm feeling a bit uncomfortable. I can't take it anymore, it's so uncomfortable, this dress. A mature voice entered my ears. Bai Yu saw that after Ling Xian finished speaking, she immediately raised her hands and began to unbutton her dress. As the buttons were undone, a large expanse of white snow instantly spilled out. Although standing behind Ling Xian, Bai Yu could see everything clearly. Such a scene made Bai Yu feel overwhelmed, his gaze started to spin. Fortunately, as a peculiar doctor, Bai Yu had a perfect professional ethic and immediately reminded her. Sister, this is just a small issue, please put your clothes back on. Don't worry too much, you'll be normal again soon. Bai Yu knew very well why Ling Xian suddenly did this. The surgery he performed had a side effect. That is, after the blocked strange energy was unblocked, Ling Xian's body would become very sensitive. Sensitive enough that even wearing normal clothes would feel extremely uncomfortable. That's why she would want to take off her dress. But what Bai Yu never expected was that Ling Xian would be so dramatic and undo her buttons right in front of him. Really, she didn't care about him at all. Fortunately, Bai Yu was a gentleman and quickly averted his eyes. Bai Yu's words left Ling Xian stunned, her light blue eyes wide open. After a few seconds passed, she finally reacted, her mature face turning bright red. The temperature of her voluptuous body was rapidly rising, causing the temperature of the consultation room, which had dropped by several degrees, to return to normal at that moment. The frost she left behind melted away completely at that time. What is she doing? Why is she taking off her dress in front of Bai Yu? And now, she had already taken it halfway off, her upper body. Her body was seen by a man for the first time. Thinking of this, Ling Xian quickly pulled up her dress and rebuttoned it. But due to the side effects of the surgery, her body felt unbearable. Her voluptuous and seductive body trembled wildly. Her legs, clad in white stockings, were even pressed tightly together. She didn't make a sound, just silently endured it. Seeing Ling Xian, the tall and voluptuous woman, displaying such a girl-like demeanor, Bai Yu felt rather helpless. He should have told Ling Xian clearly about the side effects of the surgery beforehand. This way, Ling Xian definitely wouldn't have acted like that earlier. But unfortunately, it was too late to say anything now. Feeling the warm breath blowing towards him, and smelling the enchanting fragrance that belonged solely to Ling Xian, Bai Yu's throat moved slightly. Seeing that Ling Xian was silent, Bai Yu didn't say much either. He just stood behind her in silence. After more than 10 seconds passed, the cut on the back of Ling Xian's neck that Bai Yu had made healed successfully, and the wound disappeared completely. You have completed a surgery, gained skill points plus 240, strange doctor proficiency plus 3000, desire from Ling Xian plus 20,000. A mechanical female voice rang in his ears. Seeing that Ling Xian's body was no longer trembling, Bai Yu finally breathed a sigh of relief. Sister, the surgery is complete, your illness has been cured. Remember to rest more in the future, otherwise, there is a high chance of having problems again. After Bai Yu finished speaking, he walked past Ling Xian, went to the consultation table, put down the scalpel, and took off his doctor gloves. At that moment, Bai Yu was very happy. The surgery he performed on Ling Xian actually gave him so many bonuses. Not only did his skill points increase, but the level of the strange doctor profession was also about to upgrade again. Sitting in his seat, Ling Xian raised her head, her light blue eyes gazing at Bai Yu. Ling Xian realized that she seemed to have some feelings for this human doctor Bai Yu. Bai Yu was just so perfect. Not only did he have a perfect appearance, but his abilities were also very powerful and his character extremely gentle. And most importantly, half of her body was seen by Bai Yu. It's just a pity that she was too old compared to Bai Yu. At 150 years old, she. How could one have thoughts about cold feather? If she were to do something like an old cow eating tender grass, she would definitely be talked about by many in secret. Moreover, she could see that President Qinglin had feelings for cold feather. She couldn't just come to treat an illness and compete for someone with Qinglin. She slightly straightened her plump body and spoke up. Dr. Bai Yu, just now you. Sister, please don't worry, I didn't see anything just now. Without turning his head, Bai Yu responded directly. Although he saw everything just now, he had to say he saw nothing now. This was unavoidable. In Bai Yu's view, Cold Xian must be asking if he saw what happened just now. Once he answered yes, she would definitely feel angry. If Cold Xian got angry, wouldn't he be crushed by her huge vehicle? To save his life, Bai Yu had to tell a kind lie. Moreover, to avoid exposing himself, Bai Yu didn't even dare to look back at Cold Xian. He was afraid of being found out lying. I see. Cold Xian's eyes showed obvious disappointment. She thought she had completely revealed herself to Bai Yu, but unexpectedly, Bai Yu saw nothing. Really, if she had known, she would have turned around to face Bai Yu just now. Standing up, Cold Xian took 2 steps forward, came to Bai Yu's side, pulled out 3,000 coins, and placed them on the desk. Dr. Bai Yu, here are 30,000 coins, you take it. Consider it a tip for helping me with treatment, and if you need money in the future, you can ask Qinglin to contact me. After Cold Xian finished speaking, she lowered her gaze to glance at Bai Yu's perfect profile, and then turned around, walking toward the door of the clinic. Cold Xian's words stunned Bai Yu. Only when the sound of the door opening rang did Bai Yu come to his senses, turning his head in confusion to look at Cold Xian's back. Just at that moment, Cold Xian bent down, and the plump curve hidden under her white dress came into view. In Bai Yu's view, according to height, he couldn't reach it at all and could only admire it as a hanging ornament. No way. What am I thinking? Startled, Bai Yu immediately turned his gaze away. As a healer, how could he look and think wildly? After the sound of the door closed, Cold Xian left completely. Inside the clinic, it returned to tranquility. Bai Yu lowered his head, reached out to pick up the 30,000 coins Cold Xian left behind, feeling somewhat puzzled in his heart. What did Cold Xian's words just now mean? Need money, just go to find her, does that mean she wants to support him? Thinking of this, Bai Yu shook his head. Not likely. Bai Yu certainly did not think that his charm was so exaggerated as to captivate the snow woman Cold Xian whom he met for the first time. Moreover, in Bai Yu's view, even if Cold Xian wanted him to be a kept man, he wouldn't agree. He already had Emoshi now, how could he let that little cat girl down? You have received 30,000 coins, all deposited into the horror game warehouse. Putting the coins into the warehouse, Bai Yu continued with his clinic, waiting for the next Eerie being to come in for treatment. Chapter 18, A Kiss from the Black Silk Director. You have completed a surgery and gained 15 skill points, Eerie Doctor Proficiency plus 300. Congratulations! Your Eerie Doctor Profession skill has leveled up. Current level, Advanced. The time has come to 7 in the evening. After treating the last Eerie being, Bai Yu heard the mechanical female voice and an information panel popped up in front of him. Finally leveled up. Bai Yu let out a sigh of relief. The number of Eerie beings seeking treatment at the hospital this afternoon was much fewer. In the entire afternoon, he only earned 2,000 coins in tips. Bai Yu thought his proficiency wasn't enough for leveling up. Unexpectedly, after finishing the last Eerie being, his proficiency rose just enough to level up. And besides leveling up his skill, Bai Yu's skill points also increased to 1,100 points. With these skill points, Bai Yu was confident that his chance of survival in the horror game would definitely be higher. With a thought, Bai Yu began to check his Eerie Doctor Profession information. In the next moment, Bai Yu discovered that after his Eerie Doctor leveled up to Advanced, a lot of information has emerged. Advanced Weird Doctor Attribute, you know everything about strange diseases, you can treat countless strange diseases, and no strange case can hide from you. Advanced Weird Doctor Aura, what you say is more persuasive, and your treatment methods are enhanced. Looking at his Weird Doctor information, Bai Yu felt a little surprised. He didn't expect that the Advanced Weird Doctor would be so powerful. To treat countless strange diseases and know all strange cases. Just these 2 points could make him the strongest doctor in this terrifying game's Eerie world. Besides this information, Bai Yu also noticed 2 lines of small text below. You have unlocked the Ultimate Profession task, would you like to start the Ultimate Task of the Weird Doctor? Tip, completing the Ultimate Task will elevate your Weird Doctor professional skills to the highest level, Weird Divine Doctor. Surprisingly, there is also a possibility of upgrading. Bai Yu thought that Advanced Weird Doctor was already the highest level. He didn't expect there was still a level of Weird Divine Doctor. Returning to the consulting desk, Bai Yu chose to start the Ultimate Task. You have activated the Ultimate Task of the Weird Doctor Profession. Weird Divine Doctor Task, treat a strange being who has been sick for 100 years, whose body and mind are at the brink of collapse, making her feel saved. After completing the task, you can consume 500 skill points to perform the final upgrade and become a Weird Divine Doctor. Weird Divine Doctor information, you can treat all strange diseases in the world. What a strange task this is. Bai Yu slightly frowned. Would there really be a weird being sick for 100 years, on the brink of collapse? If truly sick for 100 years, that Eerie being would have long been dead. How could it still be on the edge of collapse? So far, Bai Yu has treated many strange beings. Not to mention being sick for 100 years, there hasn't even been a strange being sick for over 10 years. The longest was that big sister strange, the 8-foot snow woman, Lung Xin. She had been sick for 5 years. Closing the information panel, Bai Yu sighed helplessly. Although he really wanted the ability to treat all strange diseases, this task was too difficult, he could only take 1 step at a time. Glancing out the window at the already darkening sky, Bai Yu waited in the consultation room for more than 20 minutes. Confirming that no strange beings would come to him for treatment anymore, Bai Yu stood up, left the consultation room, and went to the hospital corridor. Stretching, Bai Yu wasn't hungry yet, so he headed towards the hospital's back door, planning to rest in his dorm room for a bit. Passing through the hospital lobby. At this moment, 3 players were still cleaning up here. Beside them, there were also 2 strange beings from the hospital, cleaning together. Such a scene of humans and strange beings being family would definitely drop jaws if seen by players from other dungeons. And all of this was thanks to Bai Yu. So, as Bai Yu passed through the hospital lobby, the 3 players turned their grateful gazes towards him. Leaving the lobby, following the hospital corridor, just as Bai Yu was about to reach the hospital's back door, he saw the staircase on the right leading to the 2nd floor of the hospital. Pausing for a moment, Bai Yu looked up the stairs towards the 2nd floor. The 2nd floor should be like the 1st floor, right? Bai Yu was a bit curious about what the 2nd floor of the hospital was like. So far, he hadn't been to the 2nd floor. At that moment, a series of crisp high heel sounds echoed from above the stairs. A few seconds later, Bai Yu clearly saw the tall, dark-haired, elegant Dean Qinglin appeared in his line of sight. Because of the height difference of the stairs, plus the long dress Qinglin was wearing, Bai Yu could vaguely see up her beautiful black silk legs. Fortunately, Bai Yu reacted quickly, immediately forcing his gaze upward, focusing on Dean Qinglin's exquisite face. Bai Yu, you are here? I was just looking for you. Seeing Bai Yu, Qinglin's lips curled into a charming smile. In those stark black and white eyes, there was an overwhelming desire for Bai Yu. After speaking, Qinglin stepped down the stairs in her black high heels. Bai Yu didn't feel surprised when he heard Qinglin say she was looking for him. It seemed she was going to give him the 10,000 reward they had agreed on earlier. He currently had 50,000 ghost coins, and with the additional 10,000 from Qinglin, the ghost coins in his warehouse reached 65,000. With 65,000 ghost coins, not to mention those horror game players, even many of the strange beings had less money than him. But just as Bai Yu was thinking, he suddenly saw Qinglin coming down the stairs, seemingly losing her balance in her high heels, twisting her ankle. She fell straight down the stairs towards him. Hey! Bai Yu, quickly get out of the way. Qinglin's face showed fear, and she shouted directly at Bai Yu. But Bai Yu didn't move at all. Startled, he immediately extended his hands. Accompanied by a rich and alluring scent, it deeply filled his nose, along with a cool, soft touch that came from his chest. With a thud, Bai Yu lost his balance and fell backwards, getting pinned down by Qinglin on the ground. But this wasn't over. Bai Yu clearly saw that as Qinglin pressed on him, her waist bent down. This caused the aloof beauty to lean entirely onto him. Looking closely at Qinglin's flawless face, feeling the softness of her lips, Bai Yu was completely stunned. This unexpected event actually made him kiss the cold principal. At this moment, Qinglin's mind went completely blank. Although she often fantasized about doing something outrageous with Bai Yu, it had all just been fantasies. She had never truly acted on them. But now, a wave of hot, intense vital energy came rushing from her lips, causing Qinglin's face to visibly turn red. This is Bai Yu's vital energy. Qinglin quickly regained her senses, glanced at Bai Yu's handsome face, and boldly made her decision. Since her first kiss had already been given to Bai Yu, she thought it was time to get closer to him. At worst, she would take care of him for life. With her emotions rising, Qinglin's rationality completely vanished. Thus, Bai Yu was astonished to discover that Qinglin did not let go of him. Instead, she came at him with an even more intense kiss. The slightly cool sensation danced around in his mouth, like a rich jelly that had been frozen for a few minutes bursting open. Bai Yu felt the fragrance rush into his mind, leaving him utterly powerless to resist. He had no choice but to let this aloof principal do everything she wanted to do. But he had to admit, compared to the hot little cat girl, Mushi, this cold principal with her low body temperature was a different kind of pleasure. Holding her on a hot day would surely be very comfortable. No need for air conditioning now. Now it was after hours at the hospital. Most of the strange beings and temporary workers in the hospital had just finished eating in the cafeteria. So no one among the humans or the strange beings knew what was happening here. Moreover, no one could see that Bai Yu was currently being pinned to the spotless, reflective floor by Qinglin. Chapter 19, Why do you smell like Sister Qinglin? The black high heels with red soles lay discarded on one side. Qinglin's black stockings were exposed to the air. She pinned Bai Yu down, drawing from him a vital energy she had never tasted before from a human. Fortunately, they were in the hospital corridor, and Qinglin did not do anything too outrageous to Bai Yu. If it were in the dorm, she would definitely not be able to control herself and would pull Bai Yu straight into the room. After a long while, their lips parted. Bai Yu's face was calm as he looked at the blushing, delicate face of the aloof principal, his eyes filled with helplessness. He never expected that this principal would actually making his first kiss disappear once again. Bai Yu even suspected that Qing Lin had deliberately fallen down the stairs towards him. Otherwise, how could it be so coincidental that they ended up kissing? What Bai Yu never expected was that director Qing Lin actually had feelings for him. And she even took action. Bai Yu felt very conflicted inside. He already had Emoshi, how could he have an unclear relationship with the director? Bai Yu, I apologize. You can scold me however you want now, I can accept it. I shouldn't, about these things, with you. Qing Lin's throat moved slightly, her eyes filled with shyness and struggle. Although she was unsatisfied, Qing Lin also knew very well that she absolutely couldn't do anything excessive to Bai Yu anymore. Hearing this, Bai Yu sighed helplessly. It's nothing, director, it's just an accident. But director, could you get off me? Looking at the black-stockinged older sister pressing down on him, Bai Yu was also a bit uncomfortable. Under Qing Lin's pressure, he had to endure with all his might. Otherwise, it would definitely turn this black-stockinged older sister's soft seat into a hard seat. Upon hearing Bai Yu's words, Qing Lin finally realized, blushing as she stood up. The black stockings gently slipped into her high heels, and at the same time, Qing Lin stretched out her delicate jade hand to pull Bai Yu up from the ground. Standing in front of Qing Lin, Bai Yu felt unsure of how to face this cold and aloof older sister. Now that they had shared such an intimate moment, their relationship was no longer as distant as before. The previous way of interacting was definitely no longer suitable. After standing up, neither of them spoke, and the scene fell into silence. Qing Lin slightly lowered her gaze, feeling shy to meet Bai Yu's eyes. Who could have thought that she, usually standing tall and aloof, could show such shy behaviors like a little girl? By the way, Qing Lin, you just said you had something to discuss with me, what is it? In the end, Bai Yu was the first to break the silence. This time, he no longer called her director but directly used her name. This way, it felt a bit more intimate. Hearing Bai Yu change how he addressed her, Qing Lin's face lit up with excitement as she looked at him. Bai Yu actually called her by her name directly. This proved that Bai Yu had not rejected her at all, but instead, agreed to get closer, becoming more intimate. Nodding, Qing Lin took out a mysterious currency from her pocket. Bai Yu, what I mentioned is this. Here are 20,000 mysterious coins, one of them is the bonus for curing Kong Xian's illness, and the other half is your salary for tomorrow and the day after. After saying this, Qing Lin reached out her hand, presenting the coins to Bai Yu. Seeing this scene, Bai Yu smiled gently and only took 10,000 mysterious coins. Qing Lin, you don't have to give me any salary in the future, just bonuses are fine. I already have enough mysterious coins. If it were before, Bai Yu would have definitely accepted all 20,000 mysterious coins. He knew that in this terrifying game, having more mysterious coins was better. But now, knowing Qing Lin's true feelings and having such an intimate relationship with her, he no longer needed any salary. After all, to put it frankly, even Qing Lin, this black-stocking director, belonged to him, so why would he need any salary? It was just that because of Emoshi's presence. Bai Yu felt very conflicted. He didn't know how to explain his relationship with Qing Lin to Emoshi. You have received 10,000 mysterious coins, which have all been deposited into the horror game storage. Hearing Bai Yu's response, Qing Lin's face flushed again. She knew very well why Bai Yu would do this. It was because, in Bai Yu's heart, he had already regarded her hospital as his own. If he worked in his own hospital, why would he need any salary? If he needed money, he could just take it. This made Qing Lin even more excited inside. Forget about the hospital, if Bai Yu wanted, she would even be willing to give him her well-performing restaurant. Her mind was completely filled with thoughts of Bai Yu. Since you say so, Bai Yu, I will first keep your salary safe. When you need money, just come directly to me. With a light snort, Qing Lin's tone sounded somewhat domineering. She looked totally like she wanted to support Bai Yu. Qing Lin, I got it. As she spoke, Bai Yu turned his gaze to the nearby hospital's back door exit, then reminded Qing Lin. Qing Lin, if there's nothing else, then I will be leaving. I still need to explain to Emoshi. After saying these two sentences, Bai Yu reached out and placed his hand on Qing Lin's soft shoulder, his expression somewhat serious. Don't worry, I will take responsibility. Bai Yu's words deeply moved Qing Lin. Even if Bai Yu didn't like her, she wouldn't find it strange. After all, Bai Yu was human, and she was strange. Besides, she had forcefully taken action against Bai Yu. But now, Bai Yu didn't care about her strange identity, and clearly it was she who made the mistake, yet Bai Yu chose to take responsibility. This made her feelings for Bai Yu even stronger. Bai Yu was truly too gentle. With a gentle smile and a shake of her head, Qing Lin spoke in a soft, mature voice. There's nothing wrong, Bai Yu, you go find Sister Emoshi first. Receiving Qing Lin's response, Bai Yu gently nodded. Okay, then I will leave first. Retracting his hand from her fragrant shoulder, Bai Yu turned around and walked toward the nearby hospital's back door. Watching Bai Yu's departing figure, Qinglin squinted her eyes and licked her lips with her pink tongue. Just kissing, she felt a little unsatisfied. Qinglin also wanted to completely be with Bai Yu, to truly be together. But she could see clearly that Bai Yu was very conflicted now. Only when Bai Yu was no longer conflicted could she truly be with Bai Yu. Qinglin knew very well that some things could be forced, but some things could not be. Dazed and confused, Bai Yu walked along the road from the hospital's back door back to the residential dormitory. When he reached the second floor and stood in front of his room door, Bai Yu felt a wave of fatigue. This was not physical exhaustion, but a tired heart. The incident with Director Qinglin left Bai Yu unsure of how to face Mo Shi. Should he tell Mo Shi the truth? Or should he keep it secret and continue the hidden relationship with the director? After a brief internal struggle, Bai Yu ultimately decided. He would tell Mo Shi everything about him and Director Qinglin. Some things could not be hidden. Reaching out his hand, Bai Yu pushed open the door. What greeted his eyes was a bright and clean room, and a pink-haired cat girl in a long pink dress, with white stockings on her legs. Hee Bai Yu, you're back. Mo Shi quickly walked up to Bai Yu, and her bare little feet in white stockings stepped on the clean floor. Her youthful, flushed face was filled with a sweet and cute smile. Bai Yu, do you want to take a shower first, or eat first? Pouting her lovely pink lips, Mo Shi deliberately leaned in closer, her pink tongue licking her lips. Or, do you want to eat me first? After working hard all day, seeing such a cute white stockings cat girl to greet him, Bai Yu's fatigue vanished completely. With a gentle smile, he placed his right hand on Mo Shi's head. Just as Bai Yu was about to speak, he saw Mo Shi suddenly lean her face close to his neck. Mo Shi, what's wrong? Seeing Mo Shi's strange behavior, Bai Yu asked in confusion. I want to smell. Mo Shi took a deep breath, then raised her gaze, her pink eyes locked onto Bai Yu. Bai Yu, why do I smell Qinglin's sister's scent on you? Mo Shi's delicate and youthful face showed a look of confusion. This made her current appearance look very silly and pure yet also adorable. Chapter 20 Signing the Contract. White Stockings Cat Girl. Mo Shi's words shocked Bai Yu's heart. He couldn't help but feel a wave of nervousness, wanting to explain. But as he opened his mouth, no sound came out. Bai Yu didn't even know. What reason could there be to explain it? But at this moment, Mo Shi tiptoed, her little white silk feet, her delicate young face, directly leaning toward him. At the same time, she stretched out both hands and tightly hugged his body. Bai Yu didn't react in time. Accompanied by a soft sensation at his lips, the familiar, scorching fragrance filled the air, causing Bai Yu, who was already a bit dazed, to completely fall into a daze. His hands unconsciously lifted and embraced the white silk cat girl in front of him. At first, it was fine, but gradually, Bai Yu found it a bit hard to breathe. Just when Bai Yu felt like he was about to suffocate, Mo Shi finally let go of him. Bai Yu, you really have Qinglin's aura on you. And there's even some on your lips. You've been close with Qinglin, haven't you? Mo Shi's face turned red, staring at Bai Yu, the pink cat ears on her head twitching rapidly. Her delicate, youthful face showed no expression, appearing quite silly. This made Bai Yu feel helpless. Since she had already found out, there was no need to hide anything. Mo Shi, that's right. I've had some intimate contact with Director Qinglin, but it was just an accident. Bai Yu spoke while trying to explain to Mo Shi. He was afraid that Mo Shi, this little cat girl, would explode in anger. But what Bai Yu didn't expect was that Mo Shi wasn't angry. Instead, she revealed an excited smile. Yay! In that case, Bai Yu, let's all be together. I was worried that Qinglin, such a good and cunning person, might stay lonely forever. Now that you're here, I can relax. After finishing, Mo Shi tightly embraced Bai Yu's body, her delicate face rubbing against his chest. The cat ears on her head jumped wildly, tapping against Bai Yu's chin. The extremely warm softness once again transmitted from her chest. Looking at Mo Shi's excited appearance, Bai Yu was a little confused and couldn't help but ask. Mo Shi, aren't you angry? Bai Yu was a little worried that although Mo Shi seemed excited on the surface, she was actually very angry. After all, aren't some girls like this? They say they're not angry on the surface, but deep down they're already extremely angry. I'm not angry, Bai Yu, I'm really happy to be with you and Qinglin. Mo Shi raised her face red, her eyes hazy as she stared at Bai Yu, her lips slightly parted. As long as you still have me in your heart, I'm fine. I don't mind if you find a few more. You're so outstanding, having a few more won't make a difference. Mo Shi's words made Bai Yu freeze for a moment. Then, he smiled gently and raised his right hand to stroke her head. As long as you're not angry, Mo Shi. I'll talk to Qinglin and make things clear. Bai Yu thought something dramatic would happen, but he didn't expect that Mo Shi wasn't against Qinglin. It seemed that their relationship was really as close as sisters. After hearing Bai Yu's answer, she let out a hum. But Bai Yu, you have to prove to me that you have the ability to take responsibility. So? Bai Yu was initially a little confused about what she wanted him to prove. But the next moment, when he saw Emoshi, this cute white silk cat girl, lean in, he understood. He understood what ability she wanted him to prove. 1 a.m. Bai Yu embraced the soft, pink-haired cat girl Emoshi, who was only wearing white leggings, her body like a puddle of soft mud, his eyes full of tenderness. Bai Yu. Holding Bai Yu tightly, looking at his perfect face up close, Emoshi's face was full of a happy smile. Stroking Emoshi's head, Bai Yu suddenly remembered something. That is, he seemed to be able to form a contract with Emoshi. In the terrifying game, players can form contracts with the strange entities, becoming exorcists who can get help from them. However, unless the relationship with the entity is truly close, or if the entity is given something they really want, like strange coins, they would never sign a contract with a human player. In most cases, even when signing a contract with the bazaar, it is merely a temporary contract for a short period of time. But in Bai Yu's eyes, his relationship with Emoshi was so close. It definitely should be possible to sign a contract. So, Bai Yu turned his gaze, looking at Emoshi's face. Emoshi, are you willing to sign a contract with me? Once the contract is signed, you can always come to my side, and our relationship will be forever tied together. But, this might make you feel controlled, which could be a bit uncomfortable. I don't know if you are willing. Gently rubbing Emoshi's fluffy cat ears, Bai Yu waited for her answer. He thought that Emoshi would take a long time and intense internal struggle before agreeing. Unexpectedly, in the next moment after she heard his words, Emoshi showed an eager expression. Yes. I want to sign a contract with Bai Yu. I want to be with Bai Yu forever. With a silly smile, Emoshi wanted to hug Bai Yu even tighter. But due to her body losing a lot of strength, she found it hard to muster enough force, resulting in her quickly swaying her pink cat tail behind her. Her appearance looked visibly excited. The last thing she wanted to see was Bai Yu disappearing. She clearly understood that Bai Yu was a human summoned by Sister Qinglin, and would only stay at the hospital for a few days before leaving. She didn't want to be unable to find Bai Yu after he left. But once the contract was signed, it would be different. She could find Bai Yu anytime, and be with Bai Yu forever. No need to worry about being separated from Bai Yu again. Seeing Emoshi agree, Bai Yu's smile became even more gentle. With a thought, he opened the contract panel for the horror game. To sign a contract with the bazaar, in addition to needing to ask for the bazaar's own opinion, there are also conditions. Generally, the compatibility degree with the bazaar must reach 10% to sign a contract. It is extremely difficult to improve compatibility with the bazaar. Some skilled horror game players can raise their compatibility with the bazaar to 20%. And genius controllers can reach 40%. Horror games have developed for so many years, and so far, the player with the highest compatibility with the bazaar is just over 40%. But Bai Yu was astonished to find that his compatibility with Emoshi had actually reached 100%. Genius can no longer describe him, he should be called a monster. Bai Yu clearly understood that someone who could be so close to the bazaar might only be himself. With another thought, a contract appeared in his left hand. Emoshi, you can take a look at this contract first. Before he finished speaking, Bai Yu saw Emoshi directly reach out to take the contract, without any hesitation, choosing to sign immediately. Congratulations! You have successfully signed a bazaar contract with Emoshi. Before his eyes, the information panel popped up again. And Bai Yu also discovered that Emoshi's information appeared in his contract panel. First contract, Emoshi. Level, Tier 3 Bazaar. Race, Bazaar Demon Clan, Cat Girl. Contract degree, 100%. Skills, Cat Avatar, your sensitivity and perception are significantly enhanced, and you make no sound while moving. Skill duration is half an hour, cooldown time is 2 hours. Current status, very excited, tired. Contract effect, you can summon Emoshi through the contract. As long as Emoshi agrees, she will come to your side, and the same applies when summoned by Emoshi. Hint, the contract cannot be undone, modified, or overridden, and death cannot break it. Chapter 21, Qinglin grabs the future. After reading Emoshi's information, Bai Yu was somewhat surprised. He never expected that such a cute-looking cat girl, Emoshi, would actually be a Tier 3 bazaar. Bai Yu knew very well that the levels of the bazaar ranged from 1 to 10. A Tier 1 bazaar is a very ordinary bazaar. Even slightly seasoned horror game veterans can easily handle it. A Tier 2 bazaar, on the other hand, was previously the one who came to Bai Yu's clinic to treat him. The throat is pierced by a little knife of the weird. The fighting power is very strong, making it hard to kill easily. And the 3-level weirdness like Emoshi has undergone a qualitative change. 3-level weirdness can actively immune to all physical attacks and has powerful weird energy, weird gas, in its body. It is almost impossible to be killed by horror game players. It can only be harmed by weird gas. So when weirdness reaches level 3, it requires weirdness to deal with weirdness. This is exactly why Bai Yu feels surprised. He originally thought that she was at most a 2-level weirdness, but did not expect her to be 3-level. He actually made a 3-level weirdness become as soft as mud. Bai Yu didn't even know what to say. After signing the contract, Bai Yu can still use Shi's skills. The most important point is that he possesses 5% of Shi's attribute combat power. Weird gas also appeared in his body. It's just very rare. Moreover, the attributes can stack. For example, if Bai Yu signs a contract with a new weirdness, he will gain another 5% combat power from that weird. The 5% combat attribute obtained from Shi will not disappear. The only unfortunate thing is that the time they signed the contract is still not long enough. He can summon Shi, or Shi can summon him, only for 1 hour. After 1 hour, they will return to their respective worlds, and the contract summon will fall into a 10-hour cooldown. To reduce cooldown time and extend summon time, they can only wait. After signing the contract, every 10 days, the cooldown time will be reduced by 1 hour, up to a maximum of 6 hours. The summon time can be increased by half an hour, at most 3 hours. That is to say, when he summons Shi, or Shi summons him, the maximum can be extended to 4 hours, and the cooldown time will be reduced to 4 hours. This is still acceptable. Hey Bai Yu, we have signed the contract. With narrowed eyes, tightly holding Bai Yu, Shi's face is full of a happy smile. After signing the contract, Shi visibly became more at ease, and her emotions relaxed a lot. This made Bai Yu couldn't help but rub her head again. By the way, Bai Yu, you haven't signed a contract with Sister Chenglin, right? Just in time, you haven't had dinner yet. Let's go find Sister Chenglin now. You can sign a contract with her and have dinner. While Shi spoke, her eyes were filled with expectation when looking at Bai Yu, paired with her exquisite girl face, making her look very cute. Faced with such an expectant Shi, Bai Yu's throat moved slightly. Since you said that, Shi, then fine. After signing the contract with Shi, Bai Yu naturally thought of Chenglin. He originally planned to wait until tomorrow to sign a contract with Chenglin. Now he decides to spend more time with Shi first. As a result, Shi actually took the initiative to suggest going to find Chenglin. So, let's go according to Shi's idea. Thus, Bai Yu stood up with Shi, changed clothes, and left the room together. Bai Yu still wore simple black clothes, while Shi wore a black long dress, her legs covered in white stockings. She held Bai Yu's right arm tightly, with her cat ears bouncing as she walked, her steps looking a bit light, though her posture was a little strange. Bai Yu originally thought Chenglin would be resting in the room on the 3rd floor. After all, it is now 1 in the morning, well past the end of work hours. To his surprise, Chenglin was not resting in the room. In the room, there was no sign of the black silk mature lady. As Sister Chenglin might still be working. She usually works late and sometimes even sleeps directly in the office. Looking at the pitch-black room, Shi reminded Bai Yu. After hearing Shi's words, Bai Yu finally understands why Chenglin carries a sense of fatigue from working long hours. It's now early morning and she's still working. It's strange not to feel tired after long hours. Then let's go to the office to find her. Let her rest well. Bai Yu didn't want Chenglin to end up like Lang Xin, having their body affected due to extreme exhaustion. After all, she was a strange person who was somewhat close to herself. Naturally, she needed to care for her properly. Thinking this, Bai Yu left the dormitory with Shi, heading towards the hospital. Inside the hospital, in the dean's office. Chenglin sat at the desk, leaning back against the chair, her legs in black stockings crossed at the ankle. Her face was extremely flushed, and her heart was very nervous. Shi, don't blame your sister, it's all because Bai Yu is too excellent. Sister also couldn't help it and acted that way. Remembering what happened earlier that evening, Chenglin felt a rush of shyness, but along with it came nervousness and anticipation. She didn't know if Shi would accept her, and she also had feelings for Bai Yu. If she could accept it, that would be best, if not, then she wouldn't be surprised. Chenglin was already thinking about how she could secretly be together with Bai Yu. As she thought of this, a noticeable charming smile appeared at the corners of her mouth. Her right leg, wrapped in black silk, was slightly lifted, allowing her high heels to dangle precariously. The softly wrapped black silk soles were also slightly exposed to the air. Chenglin fantasized about the future image of Bai Yu being pinned down by her. Unfortunately, these were just fantasies after all. She simply couldn't grasp the future of being together with Bai Yu in her hands. Just as Chenglin was lost in her daydream, the office door was pushed open. Chenglin, you really are here. Shi's pleasant girl voice came into her ears. Chenglin immediately raised her gaze. She saw Shi hugging Bai Yu's right arm as they walked in from outside. Hastily putting on her high heels, Chenglin stood up. Do you two have something to do? It was already 1 o'clock in the morning, how could Bai Yu and Shi come here? Bai Yu remained silent, waiting for Shi's response. Shi sweetly smiled, Chenglin, Bai Yu has explained everything to me. I know about your situation. Hearing Emoshi's words, Qinglin's eyes widened in shock as she looked at Bai Yu, her lovely mature voice trembling slightly. Bai Yu, you told Emoshi? Bai Yu looked somewhat innocent. Wasn't this just being discovered by Emoshi? But he still opened his mouth to answer. I told her. Emoshi hugged Bai Yu and walked to the desk, her gaze fixed on the shocked Qinglin, still maintaining her excited smile. Hee Qinglin, since you also like Bai Yu, let's always be together, the three of us. I hope so. Emoshi's response made Qinglin's face turn even redder and her heart felt quite shy. Her lovely body temperature shot up from over 20 degrees to 40 degrees. But being a strong woman with substantial assets, she didn't stay shy for long. Instead, she lifted her face to look at Bai Yu. Bai Yu, what are your thoughts? Qinglin's clear black and white eyes fixed intently on Bai Yu. Waiting for Bai Yu's answer. Emoshi also turned her head at this moment, her pink eyes looking at Bai Yu. Her gaze was filled with anticipation. Faced with the eyes of the two women, what could Bai Yu say? The atmosphere had reached this point. Bai Yu even doubted that if he refused, Emoshi would definitely help Qinglin, leaving him completely immobilized. Emoshi's thoughts are also my thoughts. After Bai Yu said this, a contract appeared in his right hand, which he handed to Qinglin. Qinglin, this is a contract with me, if you... As soon as Bai Yu said the word contract, the contract was immediately snatched away by Qinglin. I'm willing to sign a contract with you, Bai Yu. Exclaiming in excitement, Qinglin directly signed the strange contract with Bai Yu. She had directly grasped the future of being together with Bai Yu in her hands. Chapter 22, for Bai Yu, I will also manage the hospital well. Congratulations! You have successfully signed a strange contract with Qinglin. Along with the prompt sound, it was just like when the contract with Moshi was signed. On the contract panel, information about Qinglin appeared. Second contract, Qinglin, Director of 4th Road Hospital. Owner of Delicious Restaurant. Level, 4th Tier Strange Being. Race, Undead Strange Being. Contract degree, 50%. Skill, Strange Domain, you can affect all beings within a 5-meter radius around yourself, making them feel extreme fear toward you. Cooldown time is 1 hour. Current state, very excited. Contract effect, you can summon Qinglin through the contract. As long as Qinglin agrees, she will come to your side. The same goes for Qinglin summoning you. Tip, the contract cannot be undone, changed, or overwritten. The information about Qinglin made Bai Yu feel a burst of surprise. He didn't expect this black-stocking director to actually be a 4th-tier strange being. Even higher than Moshi's level. A 4th-tier strange being, with even stronger strange aura and combat power. No wonder she is the director of this terrifying hospital. And the contract degree between Qinglin and himself had actually reached 50%. Bai Yu thought it would be at most 20%. After all, with this black-stocking mature woman, he didn't have the kind of close interaction like with Moshi. Bai Yu was sure, with his relationship with Qinglin, soon the contract degree would reach 100%. What also surprised Bai Yu was, he thought Qinglin was only the director of this terrifying hospital. He didn't expect she was also a restaurant owner. If someone didn't know, they might think he was being kept by this strange restaurant owner, living off her. After successfully signing the contract, Qinglin's black-stocking legs couldn't help but clamp tightly, her heart filled with extreme excitement. The look in her eyes toward Bai Yu was full of intense possessiveness. This meant she was completely with Bai Yu now. But at this moment, Qinglin heard the sound from Bai Yu's stomach. Guliolu. This sound brought her back to reality. She licked her lips, her eyes full of charm. Bai Yu, are you hungry? Since that's the case, let's go eat something first. I haven't eaten much either. Qinglin's tone was very gentle, and now her mood had become much calmer. No longer like just now, so startled and flustered. Now the heavy stone in her heart had completely fallen, her relationship with Bai Yu was confirmed. What was there to be excited or nervous about anymore? Qinglin's personality was originally calm, even cold. It was only because of Bai Yu's appearance that her personality changed a little. All right. Hearing Qinglin's mature woman voice, Bai Yu felt a little awkward. He had planned to rest a bit and then go eat dinner, but didn't expect Moshi to keep testing him. After all the tests, this little glutton Moshi had eaten her fill with her small mouth, but he was left hungry. As for Moshi, she was now hugging Bai Yu's right arm. Her delicate and pretty face full of innocent smiles, as if it wasn't her fault that Bai Yu missed dinner. Then, Bai Yu left the director's office with the two women. Bai Yu had been wondering, it was so late, the cafeteria must be closed. Where could they still get food? But when he and Moshi were led by Qinglin to the room beside the office, he understood. So the director Qinglin had her own private kitchen. The room was very simple, with only one dining table and a few chairs. On the dining table, a whole table of delicious food was laid out. Even though the food had already gone cold, it still looked, smelled, and tasted great. Much better than the food in the cafeteria. Bai Yu, come eat some, I can't finish it all anyway. As a strange being, Lin didn't eat this food at all. This food was made by her own hands this afternoon after she got off work. As a restaurant owner, her cooking skills were naturally excellent. She had originally planned to find Bai Yu after work and have dinner together. But unexpectedly, something happened halfway, making it impossible for her to eat with Bai Yu after work. Now, although some time has passed, she has had dinner with Bai Yu, right? And add in little Mushi. Bai Yu, if you feel a bit cold, I will heat it up first. Lin said as she reached out to grab the delicious food on the table. Bai Yu saw this and immediately spoke up. No need, it's fine that it's cold, it doesn't really matter. He was so hungry right now, and he didn't want to trouble Lin anymore. So let's just eat like this. After responding, Bai Yu sat at the table with Mushi and started to eat. Wow, Lin's sister's cooking is still so good. As she ate, a satisfied smile appeared on Mushi's face. But at that moment, she couldn't help but turn her face, her pink eyes focused on Bai Yu's profile. In Mushi's eyes, no matter how delicious Lin's sister's food was, it couldn't compare to Bai Yu's. That was what she considered the most delicious existence in the world. If you like it, eat more. Lin, sitting opposite, watched Bai Yu eat, her delicate mature face full of a gentle smile. Indeed, the books say it right, to capture a man's heart, you must capture his stomach. Lin even suspected that if she had shown her cooking skills earlier, Bai Yu might have quickly been with her. But Lin also knew this was impossible. Her speed of being with Bai Yu now was already considered very fast. Not long after, a completely full Bai Yu placed down his chopsticks, feeling satisfied both physically and mentally. Lin's cooking was truly good, a perfect woman who could shine in the hall and manage in the kitchen. As for Mushi, she was still eating. As an oddity, she could convert the food she ate into Eerie energy, her appetite much larger than Bai Yu's. But for Mushi, this food was just dessert after the meal. As for what was the actual meal, that was naturally Bai Yu's. Raising his gaze, Bai Yu noticed. The Lin in front of him, though still smiling, seemed troubled. It looked as if something difficult had happened. Lin, is there something else? Just say it, and I will see if I can help you. Bai Yu asked. Mushi heard this and quickly raised her head, looking at Lin. Yeah, Lin's sister, you seem to have something on your mind. Prompted by Bai Yu and Mushi's question, Lin let out a soft sigh. It's not a big deal, it's just that my restaurant is being renovated, and something came up that I need to deal with. So starting tomorrow, I won't be able to see you, Bai Yu. Lin's tone was filled with reluctance. She really wanted to stay in the hospital and spend more time with Bai Yu. But something happened at the restaurant, and she couldn't neglect it. The restaurant she opened has made quite a bit of money. For Bai Yu, she needed to earn more money. Moreover, in Lin's eyes, her restaurant was also Bai Yu's restaurant. Naturally, it needed to be well managed. Hearing Lin say this, Bai Yu smiled gently and reassured her. It's okay, Lin, if you want to see me, you can always find me through the contract. Don't worry about anything. At this moment, Mushi also spoke with a somewhat lazy voice. Oh, I see. Lin's sister, you're not going to leave the hospital management to me like before, right? Mushi knew very well that when Lin was not in the hospital, she would delegate the role of director to her. It was equivalent to making her the director. Lin could run this hospital, and she had funded a lot. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been able to get off the ground relying solely on Lin's oddity. So it was normal for Lin to do this. Little Mushi, you guessed right. Lin smiled. You can't be lazy like before, you have to manage this hospital well. Just think of it as for Bai Yu, you must take good care of this hospital. When Lin said this, her gaze flicked to Bai Yu beside her. So Bai Yu saw Mushi, who was originally a little lazy sitting beside him, now immediately filled with fighting spirit. Sister Lin, you are right. For Bai Yu, I will manage this hospital well. Chapter 23 Departure. Mushi is extremely wealthy, but she is very clear that she does not have much ability. All the wealth was inherited from her parents. After her parents died in an accident, her family lost the ability to earn wealth. Now, the wealth was enough for her to squander for a lifetime. But now, after hearing what Sister Lin said, Mushi plans to change all of this. She also wants to become a strong woman like Sister Lin. Because only by doing so can she help Bai Yu. She can never be a lazy cat who knows nothing, she wants to be like Sister Lin. Become a strong and capable person, who can earn wealth during the day, help Bai Yu solve problems, and also ease Bai Yu's worries at night. Seeing Mushi's fighting spirit, Bai Yu raised his right hand and rubbed her head. Mushi is the best. Bai Yu was very moved inside. Moshi actually wanted to change for him. He could not let this little cat girl down. Looking at Moshi's determined look, Shenglin smiled gently. Don't worry, Sister Moshi. I have already hired quite a few doctors and staff, and I don't plan to hire temporary workers in the future. You won't have much to do as the director, just handle some emergencies. If there's something you really can't solve, just come directly to me. If it weren't for the hospital nearly going bankrupt before, almost in a hopeless state, she wouldn't have hired human temporary workers to save money as the hospital director. But because of this, she met Bai Yu. With Bai Yu's help, the hospital has come back to life and is now fully profitable. Naturally, there is no need to find any temporary workers anymore. And with money, they can hire more mysterious doctors, making things easier for Bai Yu. Unless there is something extremely difficult to treat, Bai Yu would not need to step in at all. Sister Qinglin, don't worry. I will manage the hospital well. Moshi said excitedly, her cat ears bouncing quickly as Bai Yu patted her head, making her look both determined and adorable. Half an hour later, Bai Yu and Moshi returned to the dormitory building where they lived. As for Qinglin, she had already left the hospital and headed towards her restaurant. Bai Yu, you have to help me. I really don't know how to manage the hospital. While hugging Bai Yu's left arm and going up to the second floor, Moshi said somewhat shyly. It's funny to say, her parents were strong mysterious beings just like Sister Qinglin. But she became a useless young lady. She didn't inherit any of her parents' abilities at all. And even after being with Sister Qinglin for so long, she hadn't learned any of Sister Qinglin's abilities. Bai Yu looked at her with gentle eyes and nodded slightly. Moshi, just relax. I will definitely help you. Bai Yu also didn't know how to manage the hospital, but before Qinglin left, she had left a small booklet for him and Moshi. It contained many methods for handling various situations. Through the little booklet left by Qinglin and his powerful medical skills, this hospital would definitely have no problems. Bai Yu, you are the best. Intentionally rubbing against Bai Yu, Moshi's face was filled with a happy and sweet smile. In fact, right now, Moshi really wanted to continue with Bai Yu. Unfortunately, her body had not fully recovered yet, so she could not. Moreover, from now on, she had to be the hospital director. She could not indulge too much and had to focus on improving her own abilities. After working for 2 consecutive days, in the evening, Bai Yu sat at the consultation desk and stretched. Indeed, just as Qinglin said, the hospital had gained quite a few mysterious employees and doctors. As a doctor, he no longer needed to treat so many mysterious beings every day and was living very leisurely. Of course, the main reason was still. In this area, almost all the sick beings were cured by him on the first or second day. These easy workdays are not bad at all. Now, Bai Yu, who has risen to the rank of a senior anomaly doctor, no longer adds skill points or proficiency while treating anomalies. This means his skill points have remained at 1100. But that's already enough. After all, in the beginning, he only had 50 skill points. However, while Bai Yu has been relaxed these past 2 days, Moshi has not. Previously, she was just a figurehead dean who did not manage anything. Now, as she truly takes on the role of dean for the first time, she is extremely busy. She has almost made mistakes several times. By evening, although she still eats a lot, it no longer lasts as long as it did in the beginning. Fortunately, after 2 days, with the help of the pamphlets left by Bai Yu and Shenglin, Moshi has completely familiarized herself with the process. She has become a capable hospital dean. It's almost time to leave. Bai Yu sighed as he glanced at the time. In a few hours, he would leave this horror games hospital instance. This time, under his strong influence, not a single player died in the instance. These players were only slightly tired from not resting enough. It should be considered the instance with the highest survival rate for newcomers. Just as Bai Yu was pondering, the door to the examination room burst open with a bang. Bai Yu, it's time to get off work. Moshi's soft voice echoed in his ears. Snapping back to reality, Bai Yu saw a pink-haired cat girl wearing a black dress and white stockings entered the examination room. At this moment, although Moshi remained cute, she carried a bit of the authoritative aura of Qinglin. However, unlike Qinglin, Moshi showed no signs of exhaustion. Instead, she was filled with fighting spirit. All of this was thanks to Bai Yu, who helped her relieve all the pressure built up inside her. So soon? Isn't that a bit early? There's still half an hour. Bai Yu glanced at the clock and couldn't help but remind her. With half an hour until quitting time, the Dean Moshi was actually taking off early. However, Moshi shook her head. Anyway, I am the Dean, and when I say it's quitting time, it's quitting time. The hospital is already closed. Striding with her white silk-clad legs to Bai Yu, Moshi did not pause at all, bending down and leaning her face towards him. A wave of fragrant softness came from her lips. Bai Yu had already gotten used to it. These past 2 days, when Emoshi was the dean, she always liked to kiss him. Either secretly or openly. Those who didn't know would think this was a superior exploiting a subordinate. A few minutes later, Bai Yu was finally released. The next moment, Bai Yu saw Emoshi quickly crouch in front of him. At the same time, she raised her hand and began to unbutton the front of her outfit. Emoshi, you. Seeing this scene, Bai Yu felt a bit shocked. Now, as the dean, Emoshi often came to his examination room. Many anomalies working in the hospital knew that if something happened in his examination room, they could find the dean there. Bai Yu was very worried that if someone suddenly walked in now, it would be a problem. He didn't want to experience again what almost happened when Qing Lin nearly walked in on him. Before Bai Yu could finish speaking, he saw Emoshi giggle, straighten up, and her face was flushed. Bai Yu, don't worry, I've already given orders, no one will come in here. Besides, you always peek, you must really like this. After Emoshi finished speaking, she puffed up her chest and leaned her delicate body closer to Bai Yu. What could Bai Yu say? With her wisdom, Emoshi naturally made him submit to her reasoning. Hours passed, and after Emoshi wiped herself clean and redressed, she sat contentedly in Bai Yu's chair, her delicate body pressed against him, her eyes closing gently. Embracing Emoshi, the white silk cat girl, Bai Yu glanced at the clock in the examination room. There are only 10 minutes left before he leaves this copy. Emoshi, I'm leaving. Bai Yu didn't really want to say such words because farewells are always sad. But he said it anyway. Emoshi opened her eyes, looking at Bai Yu's perfect face, her eyes filled with reluctance. But in the end, she still smiled and nodded. I understand, Bai Yu. In that case, hold me tight, don't make a sound. Let me feel you a little longer. Hearing this, Bai Yu held the fragrant and soft Emoshi even tighter, making no sound. Soon, 10 minutes passed. Bai Yu's figure gradually became blurry. Emoshi clearly sensed that the feeling of being close to Bai Yu was fading away more and more. Emoshi, if you need anything, you can find me through the contract. I will always be with you. After finishing his words, Bai Yu's figure completely vanished from the clinic. His white coat was left on the chair. After Bai Yu disappeared, Emoshi opened her eyes, her flushed face full of longing for Bai Yu. Bai Yu. Wetting her lips, Emoshi swallowed again, then turned her gaze, reaching out to pick up the white coat Bai Yu had worn. She pressed her face into it. Chapter 24, first on the list. A wave of continuous dizziness swept over her body. After dozens of seconds, Bai Yu finally felt the dizziness subside. When he regained his senses, Bai Yu found that he was already back in the rented house. The computer had not been turned off for several days, and it was repeatedly playing a video of a girl dancing. Looking at the dancing girl, Bai Yu had no thoughts, even feeling a bit of disdain. He had previously thought it was quite good, but now it seemed that this girl was rather ordinary, with low attractiveness. He was a man who had intimate encounters with catgirls in white stockings and black silk beauties in horror games. Emoshi and Chang Lin's looks were much more perfect compared to these online goddesses. Taking a deep breath, Bai Yu turned off the computer and charged his already powered-off phone. Fortunately, when he traveled here, his ID in his pocket came along too. Though he wasn't in the big data system, the ID was real, and he could simply fill in some personal information to re-register. Otherwise, Bai Yu would be treated as an illegal resident, unable to work, and impossible to rent a place here. At this moment, a voice, neither masculine nor feminine, echoed in Bai Yu's ear. Congratulations, player, for clearing a horror game copy. Copy name, 4 Road Hospital. Copy time, 5 days. Copy task, survive in 4 Road Hospital for 5 days. Copy rewards, 75,000 Eerie coins, a contract with the 3rd level Eerie Emoshi, and a contract with the 4th level Eerie Qinglin. Copy evaluation, extremely perfect. You have surpassed all newcomer players globally. Important reminder, please choose whether to become an official player of the horror game. After listening to the voice in his ear and looking at the information panel in front of him, Bai Yu felt somewhat surprised. All newcomer players? Bai Yu didn't expect that he could outshine all the newcomer players in this round of horror games. Although it had some luck involved, after all, if he hadn't awakened his full skill talent, then it wouldn't have been possible to achieve such results. But luck is also a part of strength. Throughout history, which great achievers didn't have a bit of luck on their side? Besides this information, Bai Yu also saw the last important reminder. Every newcomer player who has never entered a horror game can freely choose to become an official horror game player after clearing a copy. Official players must enter a copy after a certain period. Because they are official players, they have levels. High-level players mostly enter high-level copies. Low-level players then enter low-level copies. Of course, this is on the premise of actively choosing to enter the copies. If the time passes without entering, then one would be forcibly pulled into the horror game. The forced entry, the level of the instance is completely random, and it is possible for low-level players to mistakenly enter high-level instances. Therefore, most formal players choose to actively enter instances, as at least this way they can choose lower-level instances to survive better. As for those who do not choose to become horror game players, their chances of being selected by the horror game will decrease. Only after the age of 50 will they be completely exempt from being chosen by the horror game. Without any hesitation, Bai Yu made his choice directly. Congratulations! You have become a formal player of the horror game. The newcomer leaderboard has been opened. Instance reward settlement in progress. As the rewards were being settled, Bai Yu casually picked up a cup of water and started drinking. Under the offensive of Mo Shidaoli, Bai Yu consumed quite a bit and was now feeling a bit thirsty. Rewards have been settled. Newcomer leaderboard generated. Congratulations, player level up. Due to your perfect completion of the instance task, the points you have obtained. Looking at the information panel that popped up in front of him, especially seeing the points, Bai Yu almost choked. These points, so many. This batch of new player instances has finally ended. Hey, I hope that this time our new players can survive. In South City, the Weird Bureau. In the conference room, a woman sat at the meeting table, her purple eyes looking at the large screen in front, unable to help but sigh. Her waist-length black hair hung down naturally, her figure mature and charming, dressed in a black coat, her legs clad in black stockings, and wearing knee-high boots. Without the charm of a mature woman, her demeanor instead appeared very heroic and spirited. She was now crossing her legs, looking extremely arrogant. But the people around her ignored this. After all, this mature woman's identity was their boss, the director of the Weird Bureau in South City. Her name was Yi-Wei-Ro, 24 years old. She was one of the few super strong horror game players in Dragon Country who had cleared level 7 instances. Because of this, she became the director of the Weird Bureau in South City at such a young age. Since the horror game arrived, the world has changed dramatically. So the Dragon Country government established the Weird Bureau to manage everything related to the horror game. After all, players can bring out various props and points from the horror game, and even powerful abilities. If not managed well, it will definitely cause problems. When the horror game first appeared, there were many incidents of game players committing murder. Once management is in place, it can also enhance the country's strength. On the large screen in the conference room, the names of the new players from South City entering the horror game were displayed. In modern society, the internet is developed, and every batch of new players enters the game simultaneously. So the government can easily know who has entered the horror game. Although there may be mistakes and omissions, they are rare. Looking at the list on the screen, Yi-Wei-Ro felt a headache coming on. The South City she was responsible for had already lost 3 consecutive batches of new players. If this time the entire batch also failed, she would feel quite miserable. Too many deaths would mean that she had failed to properly spread knowledge about the horror game to the public, and it would be her dereliction of duty. Minutes later, the names on the screen decreased one by one. With each decrease, Yi-Wei-Ro's heartbeat accelerated by 1 beat. In the end, only one name remained. Thinking that this name would also disappear, unexpectedly it survived. It was the only surviving player from the 4th batch of horror game players in South City. Bai Yu? He actually survived. Yi-Wei-Ro let out a slight sigh of relief, and then opened the newcomer leaderboard to check the ranking of this newcomer player named Bai Yu. Every time the horror game for new players ends, a newcomer leaderboard appears. The leaderboard only includes players who chose to become formal players and have played fewer than 5 games. The higher the player's score, the higher the ranking. The newcomer leaderboard holds great significance for many countries around the world. This terrifying game that can affect the real world consumes countless lives each year. It leaves even humanity's strongest weapons helpless. It can also yield various powerful supernatural forces and items. So when the newcomer leaderboard is updated, countries will look to see if there are any outstanding new players, and if so, they will nurture them well. Countless people around the world are paying attention to the newcomer leaderboard. In the British Empire, a blood-soaked horror game player was shouting excitedly in the street. Ha ha ha. 600 points. This time, I must be in the top 5 horror game players. In Tokyo, the headquarters of the largest financial group in the East, a young man with a broken right hand, still oozing blood, showed a fierce look and excitement in his eyes. Baka. 700 points. The highest score last time was only 800. This time, I must be in the top 3. In the capital of Russia, a burly man with a small knife in his shoulder and flames still licking his left hand was clenching his fists, staring at the grand theater in front of him. 900 points. This time, I will step on everyone. Across the ocean in the beautiful country, Wall Street. A blond youth with half a face torn and bloodied was kneeling on the ground, yelling madly. Oh my God. God bless. 1,100 points. Who can have a higher score than me? I won. This time, I will definitely be number 1 on the newcomer leaderboard. Our beautiful country will surely march towards victory under the leadership of our great president. Ha ha ha. His words shocked the nearby people of the beautiful country, followed by a wave of pride. It was actually 1,000 points. For 5 consecutive years, no newcomer horror game player has achieved 1,000 points in the first round. This time, the number 1 on the newcomer leaderboard must be him. However, when the newcomer leaderboard was announced, everyone was dumbfounded. How many points will the Dragon Country have this time? Should be in the top 10. What the heck? What the hell? What's with this score? So high? How can a newcomer achieve such a high score in one round? Even old players can't do that. You know whether you've played or not. In Dragon Country, many people began checking the newcomer leaderboard. When they saw the rankings on the leaderboard, everyone was shocked. Horror game newcomer rank number 1, Dragon Country player, Bai Yu, 18 years old. Total score, 2000. Player level, 15. Player rounds, 1. Chapter 25, went in again. What the hell? Awesome. God. Many places around the world erupted with stunned voices. It even caused traffic chaos in some areas. Reference image of Yi Wairu. In South City, in the Eerie Bureau. Yi Wairu slammed the table and stood up, shattering the conference table into pieces, startling those around her. Bai Yu is actually number 1 on the newcomer leaderboard. Yi Wairu's exquisitely mature face was filled with shock. She glanced at the big screen, then looked at the newcomer leaderboard. At this moment, she was completely sure that this newcomer leaderboard number 1, Bai Yu, was the only player from South City who survived in this newcomer's instance. No, it shouldn't be said that he survived, but that he completely cleared it. 2,000 points. How did he get that? Horror games have developed for a full 20 years, and the highest score for a newcomer in the first round has only just surpassed 1,000. He is the first player ever to achieve 2,000 points in one instance. The more Yi Wairu thought about it, the more shocked she felt. When she cleared the level 7 instance, she only received 1,000 points. Bai Yu, as a newcomer, actually managed to get 2,000 points. And he is only 18 years old. In her shock, Yi Wairu rushed out of the conference room. Her speed was so fast that she crashed through the conference room's security door. She had to quickly find Bai Yu and ask him if he would be willing to join the South City Eerie Bureau. If Bai Yu was willing to join, so she will give her all to cultivate Bai Yu into the strongest terrifying game player in the world. Congratulations player, you have become the number 1 on the newcomer leaderboard. Reward received, 500 points, summon exemption ticket *1, can exempt 1 terrifying game summon. Title received, strongest new player, can be equipped, no effect. After the terrifying game notification sound, Bai Yu opened his personal panel. I actually have 2,005 points. Looking at his points, Bai Yu was somewhat surprised. He originally thought that having over 1,000 was already a lot. He didn't expect to reach 2,000. If he sold all these 2,005 points to the officials, he would directly become a millionaire. At least he could lie flat for the rest of his life. Of course, Bai Yu would not just lie flat. In the terrifying game, Mo Shi and Cheng Lin were still waiting for him. He needed to quickly enhance his strength through the terrifying game. Only in this way could he stay with them forever. With points in hand, Bai Yu opened the terrifying game's points shop. He wanted to see what he could exchange for with the points. Dungeon refresh ticket *1, 20 points. Dungeon summon exemption ticket *1, 100 points. Weird apple, can temporarily increase mental strength 50 points each. Small hydrogen bomb *1, 100,000 points. Level 1 civilization technology knowledge, 100 million points. 2 nano photolithography machines *1, 10 million points. 1 hour of life, 100,000 points. Happy water *5, 1 point. The points shop had quite a lot of items, and many types. Unfortunately, many things were too expensive. Even with 2,005 points, Bai Yu still couldn't afford many items. Bai Yu spent 100 points to buy 5 dungeon refresh tickets. With refresh tickets, if he encountered an unwanted dungeon, he could refresh it again. Closing the panel, Bai Yu opened the fridge, made something to eat, and after feeling full, he went to take a shower, feeling a bit tired. After showering and changing into a set of black clothes, Bai Yu felt all his fatigue vanish. He had a 300% stamina recovery speed boost, and there wasn't much consumption in the terrifying hospital. Bai Yu was in very good condition now. Not wasting any time, Bai Yu opened the game panel, intending to actively enter the terrifying game. She just wanted to quickly become stronger through the terrifying game. Let's see what dungeon I can randomly get. Active entry does not allow choosing a dungeon, it's a random dungeon. But it will randomly pick based on player level. Bai Yu is currently level 15, so the dungeons he could randomly get were mostly level 1 to 3. There was a small chance to randomly get a level 4 dungeon. For every 5 levels a player rises, the randomly available dungeon will increase by 1 level. The higher the player's level, the higher the probability of randomly getting high-level dungeons. With a thought, like drawing cards, various dungeons began to quickly flash across Bai Yu's panel. With good luck, he could randomly get an easy dungeon. With bad luck, it could also be a dungeon with extremely high death rates. For players, this was like gambling with their lives. But Bai Yu appeared very relaxed. With 1,100 skill points, along with his contracts with Mo Shi and Changlin, as long as he didn't randomly get an extremely difficult dungeon, he would be able to pass. Of course, Bai Yu also knew he mustn't become too proud. Otherwise, he could still die in the terrifying game. A few seconds passed, and the panel displayed the randomly selected dungeon. Dungeon name, Horror Village. Dungeon level, 1. Dungeon players, 10. Dungeon task, survive for 2 days in the village. Dungeon basic reward, 10 points. Seeing the dungeon information, Bai Yu felt quite speechless. Such a low-level dungeon was great for some players just wanting to get by. Clearing it once could keep them from being forcibly pulled into the terrifying game for months. But Bai Yu didn't need that. He entered the game to become stronger, not to slack off. At the very least, he wanted a level 3 dungeon. So, Bai Yu used the recently purchased dungeon refresh ticket. Refresh successful. Dungeon name, Amusement Park. Copy level, Tier 2. Refresh. Copy name. After refreshing 4 times in a row, Bai Yu still did not find a suitable copy. Why are all the copies Tier 1 and 2? Bai Yu couldn't help but complain. There was no way. Bai Yu had to use the last refresh ticket he had exchanged. The copy refreshed randomly again. It seemed that Bai Yu's complaints had worked. This time, a suitable copy really refreshed. Copy name, Blood Clan Castle. Copy level, Tier 4. Copy number of players, 10. Copy task, obtain a position within the Blood Clan Castle and survive for 4 days. Copy basic reward, 200 points. Copy introduction, this was once a very magnificent Blood Clan castle, but it has now become old and worn, full of danger, please be careful. Tip, you have 5 minutes of preparation time, after 5 minutes, you will enter the copy. Tip, you can consume a summon exemption ticket to not enter this copy, a random player will be pulled in to fill the spot. After reading the copy information, Bai Yu felt somewhat satisfied. A Tier 4 copy is already considered a relatively difficult copy. In the horror game over the years, the highest level copy players have completed is only an 8-tier copy. Bai Yu knew very well that this copy would definitely be harder than Cheng Lin's 4-path hospital. He just didn't know if he would be targeted as soon as he entered the copy like before. 5 minutes quickly passed, and Bai Yu's figure vanished from the rental room. Just as Bai Yu disappeared, outside the rental room, the graceful Yi Wei-ro had arrived. Knock knock knock. Bai Yu, I am Yi Wei-ro, the director of the Strange Bureau of Nanzhou City, I need to talk to you about something. She knocked on the door and started to wait. But after more than 10 seconds, there was no response. With her eyebrows slightly furrowed, Yi Wei-ro knocked on the door again. Bai Yu? Another more than 10 seconds passed, yet still no answer. There was no choice, Yi Wei-ro had to use her innate powers. She was a rare multi-talented player. She had awakened a total of 3 talents. Her first talent enhanced her body, which is why she could smash a conference room table with a single slap and break the anti-theft door of the conference room. The second talent enhanced her 6th sense, allowing her to predict some future events or understand the past when used properly. The third talent allowed her to briefly transform into a spirit body, ignoring all physical rules. Yi Wei-ro used her third talent to become a spirit body, passing through the doorway and arriving in Bai Yu's room. This was a single room without a hall. Smelling the faint fragrance in the room, Yi Wei-ro was very puzzled. Where is Bai Yu? Could he have gone out? Impossible, the surveillance did not show him leaving. Suddenly, Yi Wei-ro realized. Bai Yu wouldn't have just come out and then entered the horror game again, right? Thinking this, Yi Wei-ro used her enhanced 6th sense talent. Then she confirmed. Bai Yu really had, once again entered the horror game. Not even resting for a bit. Many game players need a long time to recover after entering a copy. Especially when encountering fearsome and strange players. But Bai Yu did not need this, proving that he was truly very powerful. With a clear smile on her lips, Yi Wei-ro's interest in Bai Yu grew even more. She stepped in her black pantyhose and black knee-high boots and sat down by Bai Yu's bed. She was going to wait here for Bai Yu to return. Yi Wei-ro simply could not believe that by waiting here, she wouldn't get to see Bai Yu. Chapter 26, The Silver-Haired Red-Eyed Vampire Princess. The previous chapter added a reference image of Yi Wei Ro, those who haven't seen it can go take a look. Accompanied by a familiar dizziness sweeping over his body. After a few seconds, Bai Yu finally came back to his senses. Then he discovered that he was standing in front of an old, quaint, even crumbling ancient castle. Around him was a dense forest, with only the castle as an open space in the forest. The rusty gate outside the castle seemed as if with a little force, it could be kicked down completely. The sky was sunny, unlike the instance where Bai Yu was earlier, where the sky was covered in dark clouds both day and night. Ah! What the hell? It's actually a Blood Clan castle instance. I'm going to die. Damn it, if I had known I should have spent 400,000 to buy points for a refresh ticket, I wouldn't have been sent to a level 4 instance. Level 4 instance? Whoa. I'm still a newbie. Why did they send me to a level 4 instance? My blood is going to be drained. As Bai Yu was observing the surroundings, he heard the voices of other players beside him. Turning his gaze, Bai Yu saw that most of the players around him were wailing. Even the old players who weren't wailing had pale faces, filled with fear. The only calm person on the scene was him. Listening to the cries around, Bai Yu realized just how terrifying the Blood Clan was. They treated humans as blood bags, ready to suck blood at any time. For this reason, many people preferred not to call them Blood Clan but rather blood-sucking monsters. But Bai Yu knew very well that in a horror game, panicking was of no help. In fact, it may lead to death. Looking at the severely dilapidated castle before him, Bai Yu felt a bit puzzled. This place is so rotten. Are there really blood monsters here? In Bai Yu's eyes, blood-sucking monsters were a group of seemingly graceful and noble beings, just like aristocrats. How could they possibly dwell in a place like this? To put it bluntly, even beggars wouldn't stay here. At most, only forest animals would live in this place. Compared to here, the fourth hospital was like a world of civilization versus savagery. Just as Bai Yu was observing the castle, an extremely sharp and clear female voice came from within. You bunch of fools. What are you standing there for? Fools. A bunch of fools. Hurry up and come in here. Her voice was so loud that it echoed around. Several new players were so frightened they trembled, and one even weakly knelt on the ground. Upon hearing the voice, Bai Yu couldn't help but frown. No wonder it's a level 4 instance. Right after entering, there was such a show of force. To his surprise, there truly were monsters living in this dilapidated castle. But Bai Yu felt no panic at all. Instead, he stepped forward, treading on the overgrown ground, and was the first to walk ahead. Extending his hand, Bai Yu exerted a bit of strength to push open the already rusty gate. Creak! It sounded like nails scratching on a chalkboard. Bai Yu walked into the castle's area just like that. The moment the gate was pushed open, the horrifying game sound echoed in everyone's ears. Horror game begins. Instance name, Twilight Castle. Number of players in this game, 10. Level of this instance, level 4. Instance task, enter Twilight Castle, secure a position within the castle, survive for 4 days, and you will complete the game task to exit the game. Warning, it's best not to stray too far from the castle, or the consequences are on you. Wish all players an enjoyable game. Hearing this sound, the fear of many players on site deepened. 2 new players began to tremble all over uncontrollably. Bai Yu closed the information panel before him, walking forward while contemplating. He pondered what skills he should illuminate next to maximize his chances of survival. Seeing Bai Yu enter the castle's range, the players present looked at each other and finally had no choice but to follow him with stiff necks. It seemed that going in might allow them to live, but not going in would certainly lead to death. Boom! The huge, worn-out gate of the castle slowly opened. Dust was kicked up. Bai Yu and the other players walked into the dilapidated castle. The castle was drafty everywhere, but under the shining sun, it appeared somewhat bright. This allowed Bai Yu to see. The hollow part in the middle allows one to see the entire castle from the first floor hall to the second floor railing corridor. Although it is already old and worn, the huge luxurious furniture left in the hall still shows its former glory. Once upon a time, this place was very extravagant. You fools, stand straight for me. When all the players arrived at the castle, a clear and soft voice came from above. This time, it didn't sound as sharp as before. Following the voice, Bai Yu looked up. He quickly saw a petite girl standing next to the railing on the second floor. She looked down at the players from her high position. Because she stood in the shadows, Bai Yu could not see her full appearance. He only knew that she was small in stature. It seemed that she was the terrifying and strange being he would face in this quest. You, and you. You 4, go clean up for me. She randomly pointed at 4 people. He. The tools are in the warehouse next to the castle. Clean it up well for me, or I will drain your blood. Now go. The 4 players who were pointed at sighed in relief and rushed out of the castle at their fastest speed. Only 6 players remained on site. You, and you, the 3 of you fools, go pull the weeds outside. Humph. If there are still weeds in the castle tomorrow, just wait to die. The 3 people who were pointed at quickly left the castle, just like the previous 4 players. Now, only 3 people remained. Bai Yu was among them. The person in black stays, the other 2, go fix the railing gate outside, get out. The word get out echoed in the castle, even causing dust to fall from the ceiling. The eerie voice of the Blood Clan made the 2 players look at Bai Yu with sympathy in their eyes. Bai Yu was indeed the person in black. In their eyes, Bai Yu was surely going to be drained of blood by this eerie being. But they only felt sympathy for Bai Yu and quickly ran out of the hall, fearing that staying here would also get them drained of blood. Now, only Bai Yu and the petite eerie being remained in the entire castle. Bai Yu felt quite helpless in his heart. How come he got targeted in this quest? Now this quest also wanted to eye him? Could it really be his face that was causing this? Bai Yu worried that this Blood Clan eerie being was keeping him behind to drain his blood. If that were the case, he would have to activate his life-saving skills. Otherwise, he would definitely be killed by this Blood Clan girl eerie being. Humph. Human. I give you 1 minute to get up here. As Bai Yu was thinking, the soft and clear shout rang in his ears again. Coming back to his senses and stopping his thoughts, Bai Yu quickly followed the stairs to the second-floor corridor. As soon as he arrived, Bai Yu clearly saw. From the shadows ahead, a silver-haired girl walked out. Though she was called a girl, she was even smaller and younger than a typical girl, probably a cute little loli. She was petite, with a delicate and youthful face. Dressed in a dark purple lace long dress, with thick purple stockings on her legs, and Mary Jane shoes on her feet. Under the bright sunlight, her beautiful silver long hair even reflected some light. Like a porcelain doll, she looked absolutely perfect on the outside. But her eyes were blood red. They looked very scary. Was it her who just made the sound? Standing in front of this silver-haired, red-eyed blood-sucking princess, Bai Yu already knew she was a petite eerie being. But unexpectedly, just looking at her appearance, she was so cute. Those who didn't know would think she was a truly adorable little loli. After looking at this little loli for a moment, Bai Yu quickly averted his gaze. She was a terrifying Blood Clan eerie being, not some cute little loli. He must not think carelessly. Chapter 27, Heart and Mouth at Odds. You human, your movements are quite agile. Alicia's blood-colored eyes fixed on Bai Yu's face, her throat moved slightly. Her red eyes couldn't help but widen. Just keep staring at the face of White Feather. A few seconds later, she let out a slight hum. Humph, and you are just barely acceptable in looks, human. From today on, you are my butler. Whatever I ask you to do, you must do it, even if it means kneeling down to clean my shoes. As she spoke, Iressa crossed her arms, closed her eyes, and tilted her head slightly to the side, displaying an extremely proud demeanor. Humph, human, you should be grateful to be the first butler of this marquis's noble lady. After Iressa finished speaking, the Blood Clan castle returned to silence. Seeing Iressa's arrogant appearance, White Feather equipped his strange doctor profession skill. After confirming that this self-proclaimed noble lady of the Blood Clan was not mentally ill, White Feather showed a slightly puzzled expression. What is wrong with this little girl? She clearly isn't crazy, so why does she act so abnormal and speak so strangely? A marquis? Where would a marquis live in this rundown castle? Seeing this bizarre behavior of the Blood Clan, White Feather actually felt a little worried. She might suddenly act crazy and turn on me. After all, her emotions seemed very unstable. A few seconds passed, and seeing that White Feather didn't respond, Iressa immediately widened her eyes, full of anger. Ah! You human, why aren't you speaking? Why don't you answer me? Hurry up and answer me. Saying it is an honor to serve Lady Iressa, say it. Iressa shouted, her 2 pairs of sharp fangs exposed to the air. Her arms crossed tightly, fists clenched, straightened toward the ground, looking extremely angry. Hearing Iressa's words, White Feather immediately snapped back to reality. Since this vampire lady wants me to be her butler, then I'll be a butler this once and properly serve the self-proclaimed lady vampire. Just right, the skill points I have now are enough to light up the strange butler profession skill. You have consumed 500 skill points to light up the strange butler profession skill. Profession skill level, beginner. Automatically equipped the skill. Strange butler profession skill, management knowledge, service knowledge, etiquette knowledge, emotional perception knowledge, cooking knowledge. You have gained the passive profession, butler aura. You have the aura of a butler, making those you serve feel happier more easily. Can bind the serving object, Iressa. Once bound, it cannot be changed. Please choose whether to bind. There's a binding requirement? White Feather was slightly surprised but did not hesitate at all, directly binding this Lady Iressa. You have successfully bound the serving object, Lady Iressa. Hint, completing interactions with Iressa can increase proficiency. As the mechanical female voice sounded in his ear, Whitefeather's aura changed accordingly, becoming calm and extraordinary. Seeing this, Iressa was slightly taken aback. In her heart, an inexplicable desire to rely on this human arose. Closing the information panel in front of him, Whitefeather smiled gently and gave a slight bow to Iressa, using the Blood Clan noble etiquette. Yes, it is my honor to serve Lady Iressa. This human. Whitefeather's voice was full of magnetism, combined with his perfect appearance and impeccable Blood Clan noble etiquette. It made Iressa's face flush and her earlobes red. She felt an inexplicable excitement and comfort throughout her body. It was like a desire being satisfied. Iressa never expected that this human could be so outstanding. Not only was his appearance and aura good, but he also mastered the noble etiquette she always wanted to learn but couldn't seem to grasp. In fact, in Iressa's view, Whitefeather's grasp of noble etiquette was even better than the teacher who used to teach her. What Iressa wanted most was to have a butler who knew noble etiquette. Because this way, other strange beings would think. She thought the butler's teachings were quite good, believing she had mastered the perfect noble etiquette. But soon, Eliza came back to her senses, crossing her arms again, showing an indifferent attitude. Your noble etiquette is just passable, I am not very satisfied, far from being compared to me. With another huff, Eliza turned around, her back facing Bai Yu. Though she said so, her lips couldn't help but curl into a smile. On her delicate, youthful face, there was an obvious smile. However, Eliza completely did not want Bai Yu to see her current expression. That's why she turned around. With a flick of her silver hair, Bai Yu caught a faint, pleasant fragrance wafting toward him. Along with it, a mechanical female voice echoed in his ears. Your excellent etiquette has made Miss Eliza very satisfied, gaining skill points plus 10, strange butler proficiency plus 50, and dependence from Eliza plus 200. Closing the information panel before him, Bai Yu raised an eyebrow. This young lady is a bit contradictory. Clearly very satisfied, yet she insists on saying otherwise. Bai Yu even suspected that Miss Eliza was secretly laughing, not wanting him to discover it while turning her back to him. Of course, Bai Yu's current identity was Eliza's butler. Even if he guessed the young lady's thoughts, he could not say much. Otherwise, if he made her unhappy, what would happen to him? Bai Yu certainly did not want to turn into a dried-up corpse. So he quietly stood still, waiting for Eliza's response. After a few seconds, Eliza forcibly suppressed her rising smile and turned her head to glance at Bai Yu behind her. You, follow me. After Eliza finished speaking, she turned her gaze back and moved her legs, clad in purple stockings, toward the half-hidden doorway ahead. Seeing this, Bai Yu quickly followed. He was a bit unsure of what this vampire lady wanted to do. But judging by Eliza's behavior, he should be relatively safe for now, and nothing would go wrong. Following Eliza to the front of the door, Bai Yu watched her push the door open, revealing a clean, tidy, and dust-free bright corridor right before his eyes. Bai Yu was somewhat surprised. Who would have thought that such a dilapidated old castle, filled with dust everywhere, would have such a clean and bright place? Just by looking here, one could see what this old castle used to look like. It had a kind of appearance of an unfinished house with a room that felt like an esports arena. It seemed that this young lady was not lazy and had taken good care of her living space. Outside, the castle was so filthy and run down, covered in dust, simply because she didn't want to take care of it. Crossing the threshold, feeling the human presence behind him, Eliza's delicate and youthful face flushed slightly. Since more than 100 years ago, she had been living alone in this castle. For over 100 years, she had never interacted with anyone. Every day, she kept herself cooped up in her room. The originally luxurious castle had also decayed with the passage of time. Unexpectedly, just yesterday, she obtained something called a summoning coupon. With the summoning coupon, one could summon humans. She had been lonely for a long time, plus the castle was in disrepair and needed management. So Eliza used the summoning coupon to summon humans to do the work. By the way, to drink some blood too. As a Blood Clan peculiar being, Eliza had never drunk human blood. This made her suffer every night. The inner desire for slaughter grew more dramatic day by day. Even to ease her physical discomfort, she needed to summon humans over to drink blood. Coincidentally, the summoned human turned out to be someone as enticing as Bai Yu. This made her even more eager to drink Bai Yu's blood. But now, seeing Bai Yu perform so well, Eliza slightly dampened her desire to drink Bai Yu's blood. If Bai Yu continues to perform well in the future, then this lady. He doesn't have to be killed. Sucking a bit of his blood is enough. Thinking this, Elisha's lips curved upward once again. On the delicate and youthful face of the little girl, a very obvious smile appeared.